you're a superhero fan. So I wanted to ask you. They got Team USA, right? Team USA. They got these dudes put together as the Avengers, and each one of these dudes is one of the Avengers. So they got Curry as Captain America. Devin Booker is Hawkeye. KD is Thor. James is Iron Man. Anthony Davis is Groot. Dame is Black Panther. De'Aaron Fox is Quicksilver. Buckets is Black Widow. Anthony Edwards is Spider-Man. Tatum is Winter Soldier. Draymond is the Hulk, and Joel Embiid is Thanos. I was wondering how accurate that was.
There's a lot of inaccuracies there. One, I don't know why Joel Embiid is Thanos.
Facts.
That's crazy. Two, Damian Lillard is Black Panther. That just feels wrong to me. I don't know why, but to me, just feels awful. Three, De'Aaron is Quicksilver. Super disrespectful. Four, who was Black Widow?
Black Widow is Buckets. And last time I talked to you, Black Widow was Nightwing to you.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, Jimmy Buckets is Nightwing.
Yeah, very fitting. I ain't gonna lie, that's probably the most fitting one so far. Jimmy Butler being Black Widow, perfect. Steph being Captain America.
I don't love that neither. I don't.
He's loved though. Like Captain America's loved. He's loved.
Wait, which was Bron named? I couldn't even tell Bron was named.
Bron was Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Yes, James is Iron Man.
Because he's the leader of the crew.
I will switch it.
Switching James to Captain America and make Curry Iron Man?
Yeah.
Okay.
Personally, I would. Stephen Curry, because the only reason I would do that, Stephen Curry to me, literally NBA kid, NBA son, grew up, I would say, in a probably I would say a high class situation. I think he grew up in a rich household.
Yes, he did.
And very close with his dad. Iron Man, of course, loved his dad. Steph loves his dad. LeBron don't know his dad. Can't be Iron Man to me. But LeBron James is built like something made in a damn machine. And last time I checked, Captain America is one of one. I don't know many LeBrons. He is one of one. Captain America obviously is on the super serum, and everyone thinks until the DEA came out not too long ago that LeBron was on the super serum. I don't know, man. I would think that LeBron James fits better as Captain America than Iron Man. Other than that, the other ones seem. And Draymond is Hulk. Other than he's not. I don't care what nobody say. Hulk's my favorite superhero, so maybe I'm just a little biased.
Mine too.
Draymond's not. He's not that dominant. I'm sorry. I've never seen him as dominant as the Hulk.
Is Captain America
as Jordan Poole? Is he that dominant?
The reason why I'm asking you that is because, I mean, Captain America. What's the criteria for superhero? You have to have some. You have to have some sort of superhuman ability. Captain America just a dude on steroids. That's all he is.
Super steroids.
He has like superhuman. He has superhuman strength, not like Superman, but it's still superhuman.
That's a little more. That's a little more than steroids, though.
For the people in the cheap seats.
He's just the pinnacle of human strength. He's not superhuman strength. He's just like the maximum of human.
You see how fast his hands be moving when he gets to fighting? That ain't steroids, bro.
I'm about to say that's not that's super. The super serum is not just. It's not just steroids. Again, it's like amped up to the T. That's not peak human ability. Right. That is abhuman abilities that he have. Like, he's there's no amount of steroids that can get you to the point to where Captain America is. You need some like something else for that.
Fact. He did pick up Thor's hammer.
You know what that is.
And when he was just Steve Rogers, he was like a little puny little kid. And then when they did that to him, he like tripled up in size.
Which goes back to the original point that he's just a dude on steroids.
Nah, but he got taller. He just a whole different.
Once again, he was enhanced in a lab. That's what happened to him.
I will say this though about Captain America, and I'll down this hill about Captain America. He lost all respect for me in the movie when they told him, "Hey man, all you got to do is go back, put the stone back, and come back." He went back and stayed. Now, listen, you can sit there and tell me, oh, yeah, he went back and stayed because he wanted love.
Facts.
Nah, He enjoyed the times he was in. Him coming out that ice and Nick Fury being the one to greet him to the new world. No one wants to really talk about that, man.
Dabo, what the fuck is wrong?
Nah, Dabo. He stayed back for true love, man. He wanted to spend time with the one.
You saying he stayed back to enjoy Jim Crow?
Yeah, that's crazy.
All I'm saying is, just because they had him give the shield to Falcon ain't gonna deter me from what's really going on here. I'm reading subtext. You enjoy separate bathrooms. Is all I'm saying. He wanted his own water
That's
fountain.
crazy.
Right.
That
and wanted to stay where his own water fountain was at. That's all I'm saying.
Man.
So real quick, Damo, why do you hate? Why don't you like Jimmy Butler as Black Widow? Why don't you like that?
No, I said that one was fitting.
So Black Widow was fitting. So why is Joel Embiid not?
That's Asia Wilson.
Why is Joel Embiid not Thanos?
Because Thanos is the perfect villain, and Joel Embiid is not that. Joel Embiid's not the perfect villain.
I thought Jimmy would be Thanos.
Nah.
Is Jimmy Butler a villain though? Is the question.
I'm gonna say I don't think Jimmy's a villain though.
No, I think Jimmy's anti-establishment enough to be a villain.
I think Kevin, as of right now, I think if anything for Team USA, Kevin Durant would be Thanos.
So I got that. I could get with that.
I think Kevin Durant's the perfect villain because he actually likes it. Like he enjoys it. Like he has no like with LeBron. You could see when he tried to do the villain thing, it was like someone pretending to be Conor McGregor. Like, bro, that's not your game. That's not you. That's not who you are. You enjoy people liking you. Kevin Durant, he loves to be hated. He feeds off that.
I think he just did some sucker shit that put him on the wrong side of the fence, and he don't know how to get back. So he just kind of like accepting it, like, okay, I'm over here now. You know what I'm saying?
We brought this up, Bron, because there was a post that mentioned Team USA being the Avengers, and each one of them being a different character. Like Steph Curry was Captain America, and Bron was Iron Man, and Devin Booker was Hawkeye. So we were talking about how fitting these dudes were for these characters.
Yeah, but I want to know because I mean Thanos is a villain technically, so I mean technically he would be on the other team, but I want to know who would like Dylan Brooks be then, since he.
Oh, he's what you call it? What's the Loki? That's who Dylan Brooks is. Yes, he's Loki.
That's what I think. Chilltown. I think KD is more Loki in the sense that he just be doing slime ball shit. You know, but he's really got a good heart. He's like half in his heart, he wants to be loved and embraced by the people, but he just can't stop doing slime ball shit. Right. He just can't help himself.
You know what
I'm saying? It's like if it's there, he like he's sticking his hand in the cookie jar when mom's going around. Like, I'm a good kid, but fuck it. Let me get on this side of things.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
I think Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks is calendar man.
Make this happen again.
For anybody that is really up on like comic book and stuff like that, is Loki a villain or not?
Is Loki a villain?
Yeah, is Loki a villain?
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
he wants to be the man. He wants to go against establishment, but not in the right way. He wants to go against establishment to be the ruler.
Oh, right. He wants to rule Asgard.
Yes, that's what he is. So I'm good on Loki. So, and I just got one more question just to switch it up real quick, and then we could get right to it. And I was thinking about this. Yeah, I was thinking about this, and I actually want to involve the chat in this morning. What makes you the best player on the planet? When you say that's the best player on the planet, what makes him the best player on the planet?
And his overall impact on the team's pursuit of winning. The impact he has on his teams, not necessarily winning games, but pursuit of winning. So you could be the best player, but if you're surrounded by poor pieces, you can impact the pursuit of your team winning game, but you may not necessarily win games. Right. So does winning matter? So
does winning matter in being the best player on the planet?
Again, we have to put it into context of the situation. Because again, I think Michael Jordan in the '80s, you can still make a case that he was the best player in the NBA, but he wasn't winning as much because the team he was surrounded by wasn't that. Just like LeBron in the in kind of the 06, 07, 08, whatever the case is. So it's just your impact on your team's pursuit of winning and how you impact the game as a whole.
Does ascension involve this? Like, because For example, Kevin Love. I mean, Kevin Love was 26 and 14 for a couple of years. Was he ever considered the best player in the game?
No. Kevin Love was never considered the best player in the game. I think he was considered. I think we probably had him top 10 for about maybe the 2-year stretch when he was having that top 10. But never the best player in the game because I mean those are impressive numbers, but there's still guys putting numbers just as impressive, playing on the other side of the end.
Right. So James B tells me best player equals desire to win. Well, James, you know, everybody's got a desire to win. Does that make you the best? Big Ox is hungry. I'm hungry. Does that mean I'm gonna eat before Big Ox? I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean because I got a desire because I'm hungry and I want to win. Does that mean I'm gonna eat? Does that mean I'm gonna eat before Big Ox? Or is that just a part of it, James?
I think too, though, Chilltown, for like as far as when you said do you have to win, I instantly said yeah. That doesn't mean you have to win the championship. You don't have to win the championship to be considered the best player, but you got to, you got to win though. You can't be out here winning 30 games and be the best player in the game. Like your impact has to be enough on your team for what you do and how you bring your teammates along. It don't matter. Like you could say, he was with this player. It was weak. Like, nah, if you're the best player in the world, I need you to do something over there and generate 40 wins for your team. Get to the get to the playoffs. I want to say at least get to the second round, but I don't want to. I don't know. I don't want to put a baseline criteria, but you got to be winning. You can't be getting ragdolled around the league and be the best player in the NBA. I can't.
But when is the consensus best player in the league never not won? And I'm talking about just from the 90s on. And I know it was a couple years in there where you could say. Yeah, but Kobe was already a winner at the point when he became the best.
Yeah, he wasn't. He wasn't the best player in the league when they three-peated. He became the best player in the league when he was by himself.
That's the point I'm making though. Even then, Kobe was still elite. So it was
you don't get no rollover. You don't get no rollover rings in a debate like that.
So I got 3 rings. I just scored. I just averaged 36. I've been annihilating the league. I scored 81.
Well, for me, I'm talking about who's by saying who's the best player today has nothing to do with if you won 3 years ago. For me, I'm not giving you no rollover rings, no rollover wins.
So you have to win as the best player to be the best player.
Yeah,
or you have to have won before.
No, you have to be winning. You have to be winning right now.
I think Kobe exceeds that just because his resume was already stacked and he had
Jordan was the best in 89 and 90, and he hadn't won. Yeah.
I'm gonna say, but the difference with that, Mars, is that he was on the ascension. So in 1990, considering that they were just in the Eastern Conference Championship 2 years in a row, and they were going upwards. In '88, they had made it out of the first round of the playoffs for the first time. And back to Bron's point, the fact that you do have to win. Winning is important. I don't know of any time when we had the best player on the planet who wasn't either winning or was on an ascension to win. Like putting up great numbers and individually putting up great stats. Hell yeah, that matters.
And I'm not talking about championships, Ron. That's
no. You don't have to win. You do not have to win the NBA championship. No, you do not. You do not have to win the NBA championship. But putting up great numbers does matter. And winning is tied into that because, again, you talk about 1990 with Michael Jordan. Was Michael Jordan undisputably the best player in the game? Actually, he wasn't. And the reason why, even though at that point he was awesome. I mean, Magic had just won the league MVP in back-to-back seasons, and the year before that, he was the league. They had won the NBA championship. So there's still a conversation about Jordan not being undisputably the best player in the game simply because he hadn't won it yet. Guys like Bird, guys like Magic, these guys, they still were there at the top of the league, winning league MVPs. And not just winning league MVPs, going to the championship. So there still was a conversation where the separator was Jordan hadn't won yet. That's why he wasn't undisputably the best player in the game.
Would Giannis qualify before he had won a chip? Was there not a time like that between 2019 2020 he won in 21? Right before that 21 win, would he qualify as a guy that was considered the best in the league?
Because he was winning, Damo. He just hadn't won the championship.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is what I'm talking about when I say on your way to being the best. Like, what makes a guy the best? What makes a guy the best player in the game? Are you on your way to being that, or How do you get there? So Giannis being the back-to-back league MVP, being the defensive player of the year, and then winning the NBA championship and the finals MVP. It's hard to keep him not just out of that conversation, but for him to be that, as opposed to, well, he was that in 20 or he was that in 19. So like, where is the separator? The separator is when you start winning, and not necessarily win the NBA championship. The fact that Milwaukee was in the Eastern Conference Championship, and they were on the ascension.
I think you're the best if you're just the best.
Well, I already know, Miles. You always come from the perspective of just a basketball player. I'm better at basketball than you. Period.
Yeah, that's what would make you the best, if you're just better than everyone else at basketball. But if Jordan wasn't unanimously the best in 1990 in the league, how did he go from arguably not even the best in the league to the greatest player of all time in 3 years?
In 3 years? I mean, Mars, you know how quickly stuff can change. I mean, it's people telling me that Giannis, the year that they won the NBA championship, Giannis is now a top 15 player all time. Well, if he's a top 15 player all time, when they win the NBA championship in 21, well, he has to have at least been close to that, even though I don't think he was, but he had to have been at least close to that. So Jordan, at that point in 1990, he had won the league MVP, had been the defensive player of the year. I think he finished second or third that year in league MVP votes. They had been in the Eastern Conference Championship. Then for them to win the NBA championship 3 straight years, for him to win the Finals MVP 3 straight years, not just win the Finals MVP 3 straight years, for him to win the league MVP in back-to-back seasons after that, after he had lost it in 90, for him to win the league MVP in back-to-back seasons, for them to win in a dramatic fashion that they had won, he was already on the ascension to that. And nobody had won like that since he had won like that when he had won it in 3 straight years. Nobody had done that since the Celtics did it in the 60s, which was over 25 years ago. So with that being said, there were the detractors who weren't exactly on board with it, but the majority of the people felt like Jordan was the best ever at that point.
To Mars's point there, I actually think in that case in 3 years when he became kind of, people were talking about him as a GOAT. I think one, it was a little bit of a marketing push by Nike in the league in the sense of, I think Magic, when he had his whole age situation at the time, I don't think the league was trying to find somebody else to maybe push as a GOAT, because at that time there was a stigma behind age and all that. So I don't think they wanted to kind of push that. And then with Kareem too, I think some of think with his kind of religious faith things, maybe some of his politics, they weren't necessarily agreeing with at the time. So I think with Michael, he was more a little more clean cut. He was still a great player. They can kind of push that narrative. So I think that had a little bit to do with it. All right, let's start making the push of Michael Jordan as the GOAT. Some of these off the basketball. Yeah,
he was a clean cut guy. You know, wasn't bringing the thug mentality. You know what I'm saying? So. He was also great, so it was an easy choice.
And one buddy, you are right. Nobody had done it since Shaq and Kobe, which would explain why Shaq was considered the best player on the planet.
Because he was the best player in the world.
That he was.
But Mars, when's the last, like, can you give me an example of a player that you would just be like, yo, he's the best player in the world, but hasn't won anything?
I think Steph was the best in 2021 and he missed the playoffs.
But see, that's my point, though.
It's a difference, Mars, between playing the best and being the best player.
I think he was better than everyone in the world at basketball.
In 2021. So he was better than James. He was better than Leonard. He was better than Giannis. He was better than Joker. All of these guys. And what are you basing that on, Mars?
The fact that Warriors team is the worst assembly of offensive roster I've ever seen. The fact he had to play next to James Wiseman. And the fact that when they actually stopped playing James Wiseman, they were playing like one of the best teams in the world. He had probably the most efficient scoring season since his 2016 MVP season, on higher volume with less help, had the ball in his hands a lot more, probably had his best playmaking season to date at that point. Shot 42% from 3. The only reason his team missed the playoffs is because they started the season with James Wiseman. If you actually look at how they played post James Wiseman, they were a top 5 team in the NBA, had one of the best offenses in the league alongside one of the best defenses, thanks to Draymond Green. And they were actually going on their way to being a playoff team. And once again, they were in the play-in because when Steph missed, I think, 9 games, they went 2-7. That's why they were in the play-in. They were playing like a top 5 seed with Steph Curry there. Right. So all of that going into it, I think Steph Curry just being at that point by far the best offensive player in the world. No one could have done what Steph could have done on that team, in my opinion. Guys like Kent Bazemore playing starters minutes, Juan Toscano playing starters minutes, Brad Wanamaker, Michael Mulder. These are people who are getting legitimate minutes
Respect,
on
Brad
that team.
Wanamaker.
No, thank you. These are the people getting minutes, legitimate minutes on that team, and they were somehow being able to compete, not only defensively, but offensively. And to me, Steph Curry was just the best player in the world. If you think it was Giannis, that's fine because he won. I get it. I'm not saying it's the unanimous decision.
Right.
I think Steph Curry was the best.
Which is fair because I feel like Giannis in 21, I feel like he was a better defensive player than what he was in 2019, considering I feel like he was a lot smarter. He was a better rim protector at that point than he was in 2019. And with that being said, that defense that Milwaukee had, it was powered by Giannis, right? So when I look at, don't get me wrong, they did make some trades to make that team better. So moving Bledsoe out the lineup and putting and putting Drew Holiday in the lineup, that definitely did enhance what Milwaukee was doing. But that team was powered by Giannis offensively and defensively. I can get with your logic, Mars, that Steph Curry offensively was the best player in terms of his ability to score, his ability to have gravity off the basketball. I can definitely get with that. But Giannis also offensively, defenses gravitated toward him, and I think that he became a better playmaker in 21. Not just a better playmaker, I think that his scoring kind of went up a little bit. And when I mean it went up a little bit, I mean the fact that he had a respectable mid-range jump shot. Like it went the other way. It went the other way in future years. But at that point, it was at least respectable, which I feel like enhanced his game. That's why I didn't. And then when you want to add in the fact that they won, I mean, that makes it a lot better. Now, the fact that Steph Curry, I think he led the league in scoring that year. He was third in league MVP votes. They finished 8th, and they just missed the playoffs. I mean, I think you have a legit argument about Steph Curry, but I think on the defensive side of the basketball and the fact that Milwaukee ended up winning, I think that's what separated was with Giannis.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with someone who says Giannis because I mean he had 50 in a closeout game in the finals and made 18 free throws or something. So obviously it's obviously going to be a hard argument for me to make against the majority of people because when someone does those things in the playoffs and someone else missed the playoffs, it's like, what are we talking about? Right. But for me, Giannis offensively was still flawed. I think
he was.
You could definitely make the case that Kevin Durant outplayed him in the postseason. And if you remember correctly, before Giannis won the ring, after that Bucks-Nets series, people were saying Kevin Durant was the best player in the world. I still remember that vividly. They know Kevin Durant lost, and then they said his foot was on the line, blah, blah, blah. No one was saying Giannis was better than Kevin Durant. That's what was happening.
There was still that logic, sure.
Okay, most people weren't saying Giannis was better than Kevin Durant.
Right. It wasn't undisputed.
Yeah,
it wasn't undisputed.
I wasn't on that train. I think Giannis was better, but most people were saying Kevin Durant was the best player in the world. Mm-hmm. Then the Bucks go on and win the title, and everyone all of a sudden changed their tune, and now Giannis was just undisputed, which I think is also very weird. But I think Giannis wasn't just as far apart from the rest as people like to go back and say he was. I think it was definitely a conversation. I think Kevin Durant was in the conversation. I think Kawhi Leonard was in the conversation. People forget what he was doing in the postseason before he tore his ACL. He was having one of the all-time great postseason runs. They ended up making the conference finals without him winning, I think, 2 games.
I thought they were going to the NBA championship that year, to be honest with you.
He was also having a hell of a run. Steph Curry, like I said, was doing what he was doing. Jokic was still right there. Like, I didn't have Jokic as the best in the world yet because I still think he wasn't in good enough shape, and defensively he was causing too many problems for me to be the best in the world at that point. Mm-hmm. But there was a lot of people in and around that conversation. I don't think it was unanimously Giannis. I go Steph. I think I had Giannis 2, Jokic 3, Kawhi 4, KD 5. I think that was my top 5 for the year. Mm-hmm. So, and someone asked how's that weird for Giannis to be the best in 2021? Because you can't go from saying KD's the best, even though he lost to Giannis, and then saying Giannis is now better than KD because he beat the Hawks and the Suns. Like, if you thought KD was
and
better
won the
than
NBA
Giannis,
championship too, though, Mars.
But if you thought KD was better than Giannis after they played in a series, even though we saw Kevin Durant lose to Giannis, you can't then say Giannis is better than KD for beating teams after he'd already beaten KD. Because KD couldn't have beat those teams because he already lost to the Bucks. And if you thought even though he lost to the Bucks, he was better than Giannis, Giannis didn't just magically get better. He didn't. He played
not in the playoffs. No, not in the playoffs.
Injury, which credit to him. But if you already thought KD was better than him, and Giannis was still the same guy, he just played the extra games. That doesn't make sense for you to change your tune. Now, if you thought Giannis was already better than
that series was enough to sway people.
I didn't think
he didn't get
I
better
think
as
Kevin
a
Durant
player.
outplayed
No.
Giannis that series by a good margin.
he
He didn't get better as a player. He had
No,
a
I
great
get that,
series.
Was it that
I'm
far?
just trying to
Like,
put my
was it
mind
like
in the
did he
regular
completely
basketball man's head.
outplay?
Yeah, and I'm
Did-
saying my whole point is if you thought KD was better than Giannis after that Bucks Nets series, you changing your mind after the Hawks and Sun series is weird to me. If you thought Giannis was already better, I'm not saying that's weird. That's perfectly
Right.
fine. I think Giannis was better. But you changing your tune after you'd already acknowledged KD was better, even though he lost, that's just inconsistent to me. That doesn't make sense.
I wasn't sold
That's
on
what I'm
KD
getting.
being better than Giannis at that point. I wasn't sold on. That's not to say that it wasn't a conversation. I just wasn't sold on it. But with that being said, Giannis's ascension in 2021 from where he was in 2018 to 2021, by the time they actually won it, that's where I feel like he had captured the title of best player on the planet. Now, it's kind of weird that Steph Curry, the point you made about Steph Curry, Mars, being as efficient as he was, the fact that we didn't talk about him nearly as much as being the best player in the league, considering everything that he had done, right? Considering everything that he had done, the fact that nobody was really talking about Steph Curry being the best player in the league at that point, even though it should have been, that's actually weird.
I think Steph's the only one.
And real quick, Miles, I don't mean to cut you off. I don't want to cut you off, Miles, but real quick, why wasn't he considered the best in the league that year? Considering everything that you just said he did.
I think Steph's the only. A lot of people have him top 10 now, but let's just say for the sake of argument, top 15 player. But I think most people have him there. Who a lot of people will say was never the best player in the world. Like, not just 2021. Steph Curry is in a lot of people's top 15.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people will say he was never better than LeBron. Some people still say he was never better than Kevin Durant. Some people say now he's not better than Giannis or Jokic, but yet they have him in their top 15 all time. Mm-hmm. That doesn't make sense to me. How can you be that high all time? Like, we're talking about top 15, so we're talking about Magic, who was considered the best at a point. Larry Bird considered the best at a point.
At some point, you have to have been the best player.
Wilton, Bill Russell were considered the best at a point. Jordan, obviously. LeBron, obviously. Kareem, obviously. Hakeem was considered the best in the world at a point. Shaq was considered the best in the world at a point. Kobe was considered the best in the world at a point. Tim Duncan was considered the best in the world at a point. Dr. J was considered the best in the world at a point. Moses Malone was considered the best in the world at a point. All of these guys were considered the best in the world. And then you just have Steph Curry, who people would tell me was never the best player in the world. But then they have him above guys like Dr. J, like Moses Malone, like Hakeem, like Shaq. Like, that doesn't make sense. And that's why the accolades, that's why it throws me off, because you have Steph Curry in this regard because he's got the 4 rings, because of the unanimous MVP, because of the finals MVP he just got. But if you don't think he was ever the best player in the world, how can you reasonably have him ranked over people you think were the best player in the world? Because that doesn't work with me. For me, I think Steph Curry was the best player in the world at a time, which is why I have him in the top 11, 12 all time. But you can't tell me Steph Curry was never the best.
At the same time.
I see what you're saying.
Magic and Bird played. Magic and Bird played at the same time.
No. I'm
Dr.
talking
J
about
played at the same time.
Steph, Magic, Bird, Dr. J. They never played in the same era. Why wouldn't you be able to have Steph ranked over them?
Because LeBron has declined, and now we're saying Giannis and Jokic are better than Steph when Steph is still in his prime, which means you're saying peak Giannis and Jokic are better than Steph Curry in his prime, which automatically doesn't compute with me once again. So that would also be logically inconsistent. Then you've got LeBron James, who declined. You've got people saying Kevin Durant was better than him on the same team, but Kevin Durant's below Steph Curry all time. That doesn't make sense to me. So it's not just about, Magic and Bird played at a different time. Within his own league, he's ranked over guys who people still think he's not better than. People think Giannis is better than Steph. I've heard people say Steph is still in his peak. I've heard Giannis is better than Steph, which means you think peak Giannis is better than peak Steph. That doesn't make sense. I've heard Steph is in his peak, but Jokic is better than Steph, which means you think peak Jokic is better than peak Steph. I've heard Kevin Durant was better than Steph on his own team, but you think Steph ranks higher than Kevin Durant all time. That doesn't make sense. LeBron is an obvious one. Cool, LeBron ranks higher than Steph. But you can't tell me all these people are better than Steph, but Steph is top 10 all time. That doesn't make sense. That's just inconsistent to me.
Can I ask a question dealing with Steph and the word? But go ahead, Jalen. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think with Steph that it was kind of the era in which you played in. So I have LeBron from 2008 till 2020 as the best player in the league, without a doubt. I think Steph's peak was 2016. I think he still has sustained a long prime, but I think his peak was still that 73-win season when he was shooting the lights out. And I think because of LeBron and because, again, KD, another generation player, I have KD over Steph all time still. I still have KD over Steph because I think he's a better basketball player. I think, again, generational talent like LeBron, having a decade plus, being the best player in the league. Then you have KD. By the time LeBron started to decline, I think Steph still in his prime, but not at his peak. His decline was also kind of not as noticeable, but still a little decline. And the extension of Giannis, Jokic, players like that kind of came. So I think it's the era he played and the timing in which he peaked and the timing in which other players peaked. Is why he was never the undisputed best player in the world.
If you don't think Steph's in his peak now, this also doesn't apply to you. It's for the people who say Steph is in his peak now, but then think Giannis and Jokic are better than him. They're the people I'm talking to. I think Steph's peak was 16 to 19, me personally.
Yep.
Can I ask
you? Go ahead.
I was going to say, in 2016, who do y'all have as the better player that year? Kevin Durant or Stephen Curry?
Steph Curry.
Curry.
Oh, Curry that year. Curry.
Yes.
Ron, Steph or KD in 2016?
KD.
Okay. Ron?
I'm probably gonna say it was Steph due to the winning. I can't remember exactly. I know it was fairly close, but I'm probably, just knowing me, I'm probably gonna say I was leaning towards Steph.
Okay. Now, same question applies for the next season. Who's the better player, Steph or KD in 2017?
Steph. I'm gonna keep saying Steph for every year that we go.
Oh no, I'm saying when Durant joined the Golden State Warriors, Durant was the best player on that team.
Okay, so Jalen. All right.
Hold on for a second, Damo.
Mm-hmm.
Understand the difference between being the best player and playing better. KD was allowed to do what he did. Curry took a back seat to him. And he could have threw a monkey wrench in this whole thing, but he didn't. He allowed KD to be KD.
Because he realized KD was better.
No, he didn't realize KD was better. Let's make sure we clear.
I mean, how do we know that though?
Well, the reason why we know that is because I didn't need you. You needed me more than I needed you. That's why you came over here.
You needed.
I was doing what I was already doing before you got over here.
They needed KD to beat LeBron.
You know what I'm saying? Like they needed each other.
No. But you needed me more than I needed you. Remember when we're talking about the Western Conference. You trying to get to James. The only way to get to James is to get through me. I'm the gatekeeper. Which you can't get through me.
It doesn't.
I'm the gatekeeper.
It's not that
yes,
shallow.
It does.
It's not that shallow. This pool is deep. We can't just make that statement and just run with it. Okay, Steph was needed Kevin Durant.
Yes, he did.
I can't. It goes both ways. Don't get me wrong. And with that, it does, Damo, because
one had a chip already, the other didn't.
One had a chip already, but he wasn't about to get no more.
One didn't.
But the difference is,
one wasn't.
I understand
why,
that.
Why are you saying Steph wouldn't have won yet? Like I don't. Why?
They're both. That's so saying that is just it's. That's what I'm saying. It's a lot of speculation, Mars. It's a lot of speculation because it goes like we can always say who's to say that KD and Russ running back they don't win the West now.
I agree. I think. I think if KD went to the Spurs with Kawhi, I think they mopped the Warriors. Me personally. But KD joined Golden State, and I don't think it's because he was worried about Golden State. I think he's made it clear he wanted to play in a team system, unlike OKC. He wanted to be around shooting, unlike OKC, and he liked the way Golden State played basketball. Mm-hmm. I think Kevin Durant's move was strictly based on the fact he wanted to enjoy playing basketball, and the Warriors was the best situation for him. I don't think it's because he was intimidated by Steph and needed him to make the finals. I don't think it was any of that, me personally. I also don't think Steph needed Kevin Durant. I think the Warriors without KD could have run it back, got to the finals at some point, and I think they could have won a chip. Now, do I think it was going to be as much of a foregone conclusion as with KD? Of course not, because you get KD as pretty much everyone knew it was a wrap, despite the fact that I remember people saying Cleveland were going to win, but the revisionist history can change that. But I don't think Steph needed KD. I also don't think KD needed Steph. I think what KD wanted was Golden State. And I think that's
I think they seen each other as the clear-cut options for each other. Like that, like for instance, I think KD was the better player. I think Steph had the better team. They looked at each other like, yo, I got the goods, you got the way to move it. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got the distribution center, you got the trucks. You know what I'm saying? Let's get together. So, you know what I'm saying? I think
it was just beneficial for both parties. Yeah,
right.
It was. I can't get. You can't get past us. You can't get past me. I can't get past him. Both of us can beat him because the idea was to win the whole thing. Now, your logic about them being in the Western Conference, if Oklahoma City stays together, do they beat the Golden State Warriors. Well, obviously KD didn't think so, considering the unit that he was on. He didn't think that they could get past. He didn't think that they could get past Golden State. So he's looking at that Golden State team like, I like the way that they play basketball. I want to play for them. Now, maybe getting my crew to play a little bit better would have been a better idea, but that goes without saying. With that being said, the goal was to win the NBA championship. And with them losing after being down 3-1 to that Cleveland Cavaliers team, with them losing, they had to do something because the Cavs had a psychological edge on them at that point. And I don't think that there was any doubt coming into that next season, even if KD stays in Oklahoma City, the Cleveland Cavaliers would have been the favorite to win the NBA championship again. And if they end up, even if the Golden State Warriors get back to the NBA Finals without KD and lose to Cleveland, do they keep that unit together after being down 3-1 and losing, and then the next year playing again in the NBA Finals and losing again? Do they keep that crew together? I don't think that they do.
No, I don't think they keep it together. I think if you are a 73-win team,
yep,
you're up 3-1 in the finals, everything goes wrong. Steph Curry's not 100%. Bogut gets hurt. Draymond gets suspended. Iguodala has back spasms. Basically everything possible that can go. Harrison Barnes is a terrorist. Basically everything that could go wrong goes wrong, and you lose by one possession in Game 7. I don't think you're very pessimistic about your chances if you run it back. I'm pretty sure the Golden State, I'm not in the locker room. I'm pretty sure the Golden State conversations before they went and got KD was, if we get them next year, this won't happen again. I'm certain of it. I don't think they were like, no, the Cavs got us, man. They're a better team than us. I don't think they thought that way. I think they genuinely believed if Steph's 100%, if Iggy's not dealing with these back problems, if Bogut doesn't break his leg, if Draymond doesn't get suspended, we have these guys. We are better than them. I genuinely believe they think that. I don't think we can lose by one possession.
Then why go after KD then?
They were recruiting KD during the season. It's documented. Draymond Green has said during the 73-win season, he was talking to KD all throughout the season. Right. It wasn't just after the final. They wanted Kevin Durant, win, lose, or draw. Cleveland recruited KD, and they just won the chip.
So it just got amplified.
Yes, it's well documented. Cleveland wanted KD, and they just won. It wasn't about, we need KD to win. It was, if Kevin Durant's available, we have to try and get him. That's common sense. I'm going to say Cleveland didn't think they could beat Golden State because they wanted to get KD. KD just didn't give them a meeting. But you can go and find it. Cleveland tried to get Kevin Durant as well.
James anyway. I don't think KD wanted to play
and that's fine. And that's probably why he didn't give them a meeting. But Cleveland also went and tried to get Kevin Durant. It's not because they didn't think they could win. It's because you see Kevin Durant on the table. You try and get Kevin Durant.
Well, that's logical. Sure.
Exactly. So I don't think it's because I don't think it's because they didn't think they could win. I think it's because you get Kevin Durant, it increases your chances exponentially. It's the same thing with OKC with Kevin Durant. So I think Kevin Durant thinks he could have won in OKC, but let's say he can win and it's a 20% chance he wins because he's got to go through Golden State. He's got to go through the Spurs. He's got to go through Cleveland. He joins Golden State. It goes from a 20% chance in OKC to a 75% chance in Golden State. It just makes it easier. I think OKC had a chance to win, but it was a 1 in 5 chance. You go to Golden State, it's a 3 in 4 chance. I just think that's just increasing your odds. That's just common sense.
I don't think
it's because he thought he had no chance of winning.
Yeah.
I think he just wanted to increase his odds.
I just don't think he thought he could win in Oklahoma City. Otherwise, he would have stayed there.
Chill, why not? Marsh just gave you that explanation of the Warriors being up 3-1 and everything went wrong. Well, let's fast
OKC were up
forward
3-1
to the series before that. OKC was up 3-1.
Right.
And then they had a colossal meltdown.
Yep.
And you got to understand at this moment in time, people are saying Kevin Durant is better than Steph Curry. They're saying Kevin Durant is the second best player in the world. They're saying Kevin Durant is on the ascension to take, the best player in the league if he continues down that route. So why wouldn't he believe that they have a shot to win? You're up 3-1 against the Golden State Warriors, who they had just won the prior year. And then they just went and they were up 3-1 against Bron and them, and then they had their meltdown. Why wouldn't you believe that? Why wouldn't you believe that? And you're still relatively young at this point. Russell Westbrook's still relatively young. Serge Ibaka, you have a young core. Why wouldn't you believe that if you run it back the very next year, you guys can do the same thing against the Warriors and you guys can beat everybody that you have previously beat? To me, it just didn't make sense at all.
It didn't. The reason why I think that is because he looked at his crew and didn't think that they had what the Golden State Warriors had. The way they moved the basketball, the way that they played on offense, how fast they played, how wide open that offense was. Russ being as erratic as Russ was. Russ not being able to improve his basketball IQ. He looked at all of this stuff and he looked at how they played, the Golden State Warriors played, and one, how fast they played, two, how smart they played, three, how good they were on defense. Even though Oklahoma City was a damn good defensive team, he looked at that crew and thought, I'm better on them than I am on this team, having to do what I have to do on this crew. I don't think that I can get my crew past that crew with what I have, having to do everything that I have to do. Because if he felt that way, he would have never left. There would have been no reason to leave. That's the same reason why there was no reason for Jordan to leave the Chicago Bulls. Because we right there with we right there with the Detroit Pistons. We aren't that far away. We are clearly right there. There was no reason for him to leave. We'll get him next year. I don't think Kevin Durant felt like looking at that crew that we were better than them and at any point we could beat them, even though they were up 3-1, that they could close the deal. And I think Russell Westbrook was the linchpin. I don't think that he can play steady enough, and I don't think he can play steady and smart enough basketball in order for us to have a legit shot to beat this team, which would explain why he left.
Can I spin back? Can I just spin back a little bit because I didn't?
Yeah, you got it, Damo.
I'm gonna say I wasn't asking those questions to turn this into Kevin Durant's mentality during that offseason. That definitely wasn't the point. It was about consistency with NBA fans in this conversation. And Jalen and OG kind of cut me and kind of used my point, but Jalen was the first person to actually show the inconsistency. I was gonna say Ox, but Ox had KD better in 2016. Jalen, how does Stephen Curry go from being better than Kevin Durant in 2016 to Kevin Durant being better than him after he joins his team in 2017?
Well, I think in 2016, Steph Curry had the best shooting season of his career, without a doubt. I think it was the highest or second highest shooting from percentage from three at high volume. Even his, again, the passing and the playmaking, I think at that point was really high. I just think he had his best peak season. So he had a season that he peaked shooting wise, which I think elevated him above Kevin Durant. While the next season he kind of went back to his still good, but not this kind of incredible outlier of a shooting season that he had in 2016. And I think Kevin Durant was just a better player.
So, but with that logic, knowing that as soon as they signed Kevin Durant, Clay was very open with the fact that he wasn't taking less shots now that Kevin Durant's being there. Draymond already doesn't shoot the ball.
Say that.
Yep.
He did say that.
So if they want to win, which this is what this is about, winning games, wouldn't it make sense that, someone has to take less shots so Kevin Durant can be comfortable? Mm-hmm. So if your logic is, oh, well, he had a better shooting season because of the volume and the percentage with that volume.
Yep.
Well, now I can't shoot at that volume now because Kevin Durant's here. And Kevin Durant's getting easy shots. Kevin Durant is defensively stepped up, but offensively has never had an offense be this easy for him. Mm-hmm. How are we now going to say, well, yeah, now Kevin Durant's better? I'm with Chill. You can say he played better. That's fine.
Yep.
But I can't, and it wasn't just you. It was a lot of people, especially during that time, a little bit after. I just find it super inconsistent to feel or say, yeah, Stephen Curry, 2016, better than Kevin Durant. Beat him after coming down 3-1, all that. Kevin Durant joins his team, joins his system, and Kevin Durant and Stephen Curry has to play a lesser role or take less shots or change his game ever so slightly just so he can be comfortable. And now we're going to say he's better. That never made sense to me.
I think with Steph choosing to take a step back, it allowed KD to perform better, obviously, but I think it just made KD better too because he had, I want to say, a close to maybe a bigger role. He was clearly the leader of that team. He was the guy that they're going to, I think, late in games for shots too. So I think, and KD, I think during his Golden State years was his peak defensively. I think them having a top 5 defense throughout those years, I think KD was a big part of that. So I think that was his peak defensively. So that, again, with Steph taking a step back. Now, if Steph didn't take a step back, could you make a case that, maybe he could have been better than KD throughout? I think you can make a case, but I think KD, again, defensively was a lot better. And the fact that Steph just clearly took a step back to allow KD to perform better than him, I think that does matter in terms of saying KD was a better player.
That would be because he took the step back, though, Jalen. You can't go from 1 year, because from 1 year, you go from being better than this guy to this guy getting on your crew and performing maybe better than you because you took a step back, now saying he's better than you. Well, if he was performing like that the year before, mean, because KD was good. KD was, I'm not going to say great. He wasn't the defender on Oklahoma City that he was with the Warriors. I'm not going to say that, but he was good in Oklahoma City. But the fact that he was the defender that he was in Golden State was largely due to, again, how good that team was defensively, and the fact that Steph Curry took a step back. So I don't think that in 1 year's time that changes that dramatically.
I think with Steph, I don't think that 2016 season that he had was sustainable. I just think the shooting that he did that season, clearly it wasn't sustainable because throughout every year of his career, he's never been able to match that. So I think
I'm sorry, Jalen. No greatest. That doesn't work because Wade was never better than James. There was never a conversation of Dwayne Wade being better than James. So that logic doesn't work. No. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jalen.
Well, with that being said, Chilton, what you're just saying, isn't it logical? Like even in the orchestra, isn't the best fiddler first chair? The second fiddler is the second best fiddler. Like, doesn't the less superior player typically take a step back for the more superior player?
I don't think Steph would have taken a step back if he didn't realize that KD was a better basketball player.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I think you guys are overselling the step back. Steph took more shots than KD every single year.
Well, I didn't start.
And in year one, Clay took more shots as well. Now I will say Clay didn't get to the free throw line, so he still wasn't like the higher option in KD. But
how many shots did Steph take in comparison? In comparison to before KD?
Oh, we already on that, greatest. I already said that. I'm in the chat. I already said that, greatest. So you didn't win anything. So relax, brother. You did.
Steph's first MVP season, he took 16.8 shots a game.
Yeah,
that's it.
Then so that's 2015. Right. 2016, he took 20.2.
KD is not a high volume shooter. He's not.
Kevin Durant joins the team, and Steph shooting 18.3.
Oh, so just a couple less. And
that year, Kevin Durant was taking 16.5.
Mars, did Steph take less shots than he did before KD got there? Don't compare Steph.
He took 2 less shots from 2016, but he took more shots than 2015.
Okay. Well, I'm going by what was said by Steph. He said that he would be willing to take the step back. I'm not saying
which he did, Damo. Which he did.
He said that he took the step back. He said he was going to sacrifice. He said it. Now the numbers don't match that.
No, you can see he sacrificed not based on shot attempts, but based on the manner of which his shots came. There was a lot less self-creation from Steph in 2017 because he was more within the flow of the offense. So I agree he took a step back, but it's not in the shot attempts department. It's just how his shots came about. He was a lot more off the ball in 2017. He was a lot more, I don't want to say catch and shoot, but it was a lot less step off a pick and roll shooting from 30 feet. That didn't happen as much. And also in the playoffs in 2017, they still went to Steph to close games pretty consistently. If you watch the Spurs series, it was Steph Curry they were going to in the conference finals. So there's also that too. I think Steph was a better player just because I think he was better, and I've said why before. But the Steph Curry step back thing is not entirely mentioned the way I think it should be mentioned. I think they both sacrificed in different ways. KD just took less shots, period, but he got better looks. Steph Curry took like more shots than everyone, but they just came in a different way. That's how they both had to sacrifice.
Or Mars, is it fair to say that instead of KD taking better shots, he was getting the same shots in Oklahoma City that he was getting the same shots with the Golden State Warriors that he was getting in Oklahoma City, except I don't have 2 and 3 people hanging on me. I got more one-on-one matchups. I get more open looks.
That would make the shots different, wouldn't it? That would be different shots? Or you mean it's the same spots on the floor, but just easier?
That's what I mean.
I'm with that. Yeah.
I'm getting the same looks. I just don't have 2 and 3 people hanging on me. So I'm at the mid range instead of when I'm shooting over 2 and 3 guys. I just got a one-on-one matchup because you got to worry about Clay, you got to worry about Steph, you got to worry about Draymond getting it dumped off to him. So there's more options for me as opposed to, you ain't really worrying about Russell Westbrook on the long ball line in 2015.
No, at all. But yeah, that's how he got easier looks. It was the Golden State offense would get him good looks. But then also when he did get the isolations in the mid post or at the elbow, you can't double off Steph or Clay. So at that point, you're giving KD a one-on-one matchup, and he's probably the best one-on-one player in the league. It's pretty easy for him at that point.
Yo, Damo, have you have another question? Because I do want to ask Ticket who he feels was the best in 2016.
Oh no, I just that kind of wrapped up my whole point I was making. We was talking about stuff.
Hey, buddy, real quick, buddy. One buddy? Let me ask you a question really quickly, and this is a yes or no question. In the beginning of the 2010-2011 season, who was the better player between Dwayne Wade and LeBron James? That's all I'm going to ask you. Let's take sacrificing off the table. Who was the better player between Dwayne Wade and LeBron James? That's all I'm going to ask you. But go ahead, Ron.
Buddy, go ahead and type that in the chat. Ticket, in 2016, who was the better player? Steph Curry or Kevin Durant?
What's up, Playboy? I thought it was KD, man. Just based off both sides of the basketball, I thought it was KD. But I just thought that at that time I thought it was KD. When I look back, I said Steph, but at that time I thought KD was the better basketball player between the two, just because I thought KD stepped up better defensively.
So could it be that KD was a better basketball player, but Steph had the better season?
It can be that.
Yeah,
it can be that. I don't think it is, but I think it can be that.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and dive into these super chats. That definitely is. It's always a good debate, and it's a close one too between Steph and KD. I don't think you can go wrong either way, but it's definitely good to talk about it. And then obviously they're going to team up the next year, so that obviously throws a little seasoning on the narrative as well. But from the top, Nick Tri-State said, "Stirring it up early. If Bron isn't on PEDs, then why did he stop playing for Team USA after 2012 when they changed the drug testing program?"
That's proof
because,
right there.
because he was approaching 30 years old. He already won back-to-back gold medals.
They're changing the program. On to me. I got to get out of here right now.
That's proof. That's proof. I don't know what to tell you.
They on to me.
We need to stop discrediting people for their hard work and dedication to a sport and just jump into it's PED.
That's a crazy coincidence, Jalen.
Yeah, respect the proof. Respect the proof.
Get out of here right now.
He's approaching 30.
I'm not saying he's on the juice or nothing. I'm just saying it's a crazy coincidence.
No, I'm saying that's definitive proof. That's what I'm saying.
There's no such thing as coincidences. None whatsoever. I don't think things just happen.
Exactly.
It's Mr. GQ who said, quote unquote, "You were Killian Hayes. I'm Steph Curry. Was the roast of the year. Take it easy, Mars. We know he's more Dylan Brooks than anything."
Dylan Brooks on my team, man. I'm about to disrespect Dylan Brooks.
Saucigo Beats with the super chat said, "As a quote unquote passing hub, thinking basketball, peak for peak, who y'all got? Nash, J Kidd, or Jokic?" I like this one.
Nash,
I'm going Jokic.
Going Nash, best passer of the bunch.
Can we get a start bench cut from everybody?
J Kidd clears.
Do you guys view as a passer and as a passing hub as two different things, or are they just one and the same?
We just talking
passer and a passing hub.
What would be the difference?
For me, when I view a hub, it's like everything rolls through them. So like how Denver,
like with Joker.
That's a hub. Whereas with Steve Nash, it's not really. I don't view it as a hub. I view it as heliocentrism, which is just ball dominance, high pick and roll, top of the key, blah blah blah. A hub is something that everyone's involved, but you have one central force. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes,
I think Nash fits that. Yes. I think Nash fits that build though. I think
he does fit it. He does fit, but I don't think he fits it as well as Jokic. Even though I think Nash is a better passer than Jokic.
It's the same as running the offense through a guy as opposed to being the primary ball.
But I feel like I'm confusing it. So
you're not confusing me, Mo. It's the same thing as being the primary ball handler and running the offense through somebody. I can be the primary ball handler, but the offense doesn't run through me. So Joker is the guy they run the offense through. Jamal Murray was the primary ball handler, though. So you got a guy in Jason Kidd who is the primary ball handler, but the offense did not run through him. He ran the offense. Same thing with Steve Nash. The offense, he was the primary ball handler, but the offense ran through a bunch of different guys because of the way that they played. I understand that. I get it.
Yeah, but, so yeah, I think all three of them. Yeah, I think all three of them fit that bill. I think the offense ran through them all. But just to answer the like Ron, you said in the start bench cut, I think you easily start J Kidd in this one, and then the other two, because I probably bench Jokic, but I don't know. It's really close, but I
As
just think it's
Jokic.
clearly. I just think
gonna
it's
do
clearly
it,
J Kid.
Oh, I'm gonna just do it as a passer. Nash, Kid,
Yeah.
Jokic. That's what I'll do. Nash,
Yeah, I
Kid,
think Jokic getting cut as a passer over those two. Yeah, I'm gonna take J Kid and Nash over him.
I think it's close though. I do think it's close. I'm just saying I think it's close.
Y'all bugging. I'm starting Jokic, benching J Kid, and I'm cutting Nash.
Oh, that's a terrible list.
That's trying to take. Wait, do you think those guys are the better passer, or are you going with the passing hub logic, Damo?
A little bit of both.
Passing hub.
Say as a new term.
I mean, you know how it goes. Every week is something new.
Matter of fact, I'm going with the ignorant take. Only one of their passing led to a championship. How about that?
No, say
J
it.
Kid, J Kid's passing led to a ship for sure.
We doing that? We doing that?
Passing
We doing that,
helped
Damo?
win a
We
championship.
getting generous?
His
I'm going
passing
slow.
didn't. No. J Kid's
getting
passing helped win a championship. It did
Damo,
not
if you-
lead that team to a championship.
Damo, if you go back and look at that season, at the beginning of the season, J Kid was throwing turnovers because he was trying to lead his teammates. So, this is where he's supposed to be. He threw a bunch of turnovers at the beginning of the season because people weren't where they were supposed to be. He's passing the ball where they're supposed to be. They start getting where they were supposed to be. J Kid put that shit together.
And by the way, Damo, you know that Jason Kidd, that wasn't his only appearance in the finals. Just so you know, he was in the finals in back-to-back seasons.
OG, are we praising losing right now?
Yes, I am. Yes.
In this particular situation, we're talking about in 2001, 2002, when they was in the NBA Finals. It's the same crew that the year before take Stephon Marbury off the crew and put Jason Kidd on the crew, and they went over 50 games. And they in the NBA championship. And why are they in the NBA championship? He wasn't an elite scorer. He was a distributor like that, getting guys like Kenyon Martin, Keith Van Horn, who, by the way, he's the best player I played against in college. Keith Van Horn, Kenyon Martin, getting guys like that more involved than Lucius Harris. He's taking these guys to the NBA Finals, getting them more involved. Now, Joker, being who Joker is, and them running the offense through him being the proficient passer that he is, that doesn't go away from what Denver's. That doesn't take away from how good Jason Kidd was, because I felt like even as a primary ball handler, he had to do a little bit more.
Nash was Amari Stoudemire, Boris Diaw non-suspension away from getting to the finals and probably winning that chip and being a finals MVP.
Oh man, so now we going.
So I think people know. I see you put in the context of the situation. Nash easily could have had a ring if a couple things,
or at least go to the finals.
At least go to the finals.
Least, if that suspension doesn't happen in 2007, I think they beat San Antonio. I do.
And if a frog had wings, he get bird by.
Listen, man. If grandma, my grandmother would say this to me all the time. If grandma had balls, who would she be? She'd be grandpa.
Very true.
Hey, but I mean, out of these three guys, though, we would all agree that Kidd had the least amount of assets around him, least amount of talent. The other guys had more of an assortment of riches.
Yeah, you can definitely 100%
throughout their whole careers.
No, we're just talking about during that NBA Finals in 2002 and then 2003.
Oh, okay. I was about to say keep 2011 out of this because Dirk clears, but
yeah, you can say Dirk was the best player any of these guys got
cool
to play with.
Like Nash, and obviously during his son's runs.
I don't know.
Jokic during this prior season, and then obviously J Kidd when he had his 2 seasons with the Nets. I would say that both those guys have more talent.
Vince Carter's better than Jamal Murray.
I was gonna say So with the J Kid, New Jersey, with the
Vince Carter clears Jamal Murray.
Yeah, and they had Richard Jefferson as a third
Jokic
option.
Has the least amount of talent than around him.
Probably so.
It might be because Richard Jefferson as a third option. Was Richard Jefferson better than third option for Denver? Either MPJ or Aaron Gordon
Jr. Kenyon Martin clears Aaron Gordon.
Yep, yeah. I would say that. Yeah,
I think Jokic got the worst squad.
And y'all just making my point even more. So the guy with the worst squad actually won the chip, leading his team with his passing, being a passer, or with the passing.
He also didn't have to play the 2000 the Spurs or the Lakers in the finals. So
he literally had to play the Lakers in the finals.
But I mean,
this not that Lakers, Damo.
I mean, you're right. He didn't have to play Shaq and Kobe, but he did sweep Bron and AD.
But that's not the same Lakers at all. It's not even comparable. Let's stop it, bro. Let's stop.
Now we add these caveats. We praising losing.
I mean, we've been adding caveats to the whole conversation. And yes, I'm praising losing. Yes, I'm praising losing. If that's what that is by bigging up J Kidd's finals runs, then I'm doing it gladly.
If we're gonna big up if we're gonna big up the guy that at best was the winner when he was a complimentary piece being a passer, praise and lose.
That's more than the complimentary piece. That's so disrespectful, Damo.
That team. I ain't gonna lie to you. Think of that Mavericks team. The first two things you think about: the scoring from Dirk and that team's defense. The defense they was able to play.
Which J Kidd was the head of.
J Kidd might have been what? J Kidd might have been the fifth most important.
You sure Tyson Chandler wasn't the man on that crew defensively?
I said J Kidd was the head of. Yeah, Tyson Chandler could have easily been considered the anchor, but Jason Kidd was the head of that defense.
You know, he was in year 17, right?
I wouldn't care if he was in year 71. I see, you know, he could have been in year 71. I don't care what year he was in. J Kidd was getting down and he was heading that defense. Now, and I know for a fact it is a luxury for a guard. It's a luxury for a guard to have a rim protector like Tyson Chandler behind you. You know, that goes without saying. But that still doesn't, you know, get away from the fact that J Kidd was the head of that defense.
You know what? Based off the fact of how old J Kidd was, I think we really undermined how important he was to that team. Not just with leadership, obviously not just passing. Remember, J Kidd was shooting that year. This is later on in his career. J Kidd was strapped.
Yeah, that three ball.
Also, too, on defense, J Kidd was checking Bron in those finals. J Kidd was telling people where to be. You need to be here. You need to be there. He really was like.
Ron, you can't. Ron, the people can't admit that. They can't admit. You know why they can't admit that? Because if they admit that J Kidd and those guys were actually checking Bron, then they can't keep giving the excuse. Oh, Bron just choked. Bron was unstoppable. He just choked. It wasn't them. They had no effect on Bron. He just choked. The same thing they tried to do with Kobe and the Pistons. He got his ass locked the fuck up, just like Kobe did against the Pistons.
It wasn't just James sucked. It was a reason why he sucked.
They can't admit
that was because of Jason Kidd. That was because of all of those other. Imagine the god LeBron James being altered by mere mortals like Jason Kidd. Exactly. There's a reason why he sucked.
That's the role they want to play, so they can't.
To your point, Big Ops. There's a reason why Kobe wasn't very good in those finals. There's a reason. It wasn't just because he just didn't perform. No, there's a reason for that. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a reason Kobe didn't perform, and that's Tayshaun Prince, Rip Hamilton. You know what I'm saying? Trying to come in the paint with Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace. It wasn't Kobe choking. He didn't know what to do.
Well, but
Bron didn't know what to do.
The Pistons were significantly better defensively than Dallas.
But Dallas had schemes and plans, and they also had personnel to check Bron.
For sure, but Bron was a mental thing. We know what Bron was a mental thing. He wasn't even shooting in the fourth.
See what I'm talking about? See what I'm talking about?
Bron wasn't even shooting in the fourth. He was scared to shoot the ball.
Why? Because of that defense.
Why though, Jalen? If we're being honest about this is a prime example about James. If we're being honest about James, right? If we're being honest about James, come on, man. There's a reason why he wasn't shooting. The reason why he wasn't shooting is because Dallas was throwing different looks at him. The reason why he wasn't shooting, they were pushing him further away from the basket where he wasn't comfortable, where they made him a primary ball handler in transition, where he was good, but crowding him more when they were pushing him away from the basket. So there were a number of different things that Dallas threw at him, where they threw a zone/matchup zone at him, and he couldn't recognize that. It wasn't that, James just didn't want to shoot. No, he just didn't recognize what they were doing. And because he didn't recognize what they were doing, it caused him to be terrible. So we can't just completely discount what Dallas was doing defensively, because as good as James is, you can be outclassed, and that's what Dallas did. They straight outclassed.
I agree with you there. LeBron is a god.
100%. That was there.
Buddy, say the same thing about Kobe Bryant too, buddy. Say the same thing about Kobe Bryant in 2004. He choked too.
We hurting feelings,
with Kobe though. With Kobe, I'm gonna give the Pistons more credit.
Right.
I think that defense was
more welling, man.
Of course you would do that.
See,
because you're glazing
I'm not doing that.
What are we talking about?
That should say more about the fact that LeBron couldn't break down a worse defense.
Yes, 100%. That's what I'm saying. Yes,
it is.
LeBron had flaws in his game that he couldn't understand how to, at that time, understand how to beat certain defenses, get past the man, whatever. I get all that. But I was thinking with LeBron, it was more of a mental thing, while Kobe was a little bit more of an all-time great defense.
LeBron didn't have the necessary capabilities to attack his own defense. That was the problem.
We agree 100%.
There's a problem he had against the Celtics in 08. There's a problem he had against the Spurs in 07. is the fact he didn't have a post game to attack a zone, so they could put Jason Kidd on him in the post, and he was still kicking it out because he couldn't attack people in those situations. He didn't have a reliable mid-range pull-up, which is one of the keys to breaking a zone. He couldn't identify a zone well enough, so he was making the incorrect reads. He was passing when he should have been driving. So many issues he had in his game. It's not just mental. It was the fact he had flaws in his game that Dallas were able to scheme around. Now, Kobe against Detroit, I agree. Kobe 1000% folded, and it's because Detroit's defense pushed him further away from the rim. It forced him to break the triangle because they couldn't get the ball into Shaq as easily. So it led Kobe to freelance kind of and make his own decisions, which was forcing him into tough jump shots instead of getting points throughout the flow of the offense, which was hurting his efficiency. He also struggled against Detroit's defense. We can understand that. We can't just say, oh, LeBron struggled because, hey, man, he's LeBron, man. It was just mental. It wasn't.
No, the combination. Like I said, the combination of both.
Jalen.
It's like 95-5. It's like 95.
That's what we disagree. I know it's 95-5. Go 70-30.
This is hilarious.
All I'm saying is, when you think about the 2011 finals, you think about a lot of stuff before you think about J. Kidd, in my opinion.
Glizzy, talk to Buddy. He's not me. Don't talk to me, Glizzy. Talk to Buddy. He's the one. Not me.
Tyson Chandler was more important. Dirk Nowitzki was more important. Jason Terry was more important. I think JJ Barea was more important. So I think J. Kidd was.
JJ Barea.
You know what's funny?
And I'm talking to you. And I'm talking to you, buddy. That's right. I'm talking to you too.
Jason Terry. I was like, okay, cool. You can have Jason Terry. JJ Barea. What we doing?
Well, what about Sean Marion?
No, it's funny because I dead ass was going to say people would think of Jason Kidd
after Tyson Chandler, Dirk, and maybe Jason Terry. I'm not giving you anyone else. It was Jason Kidd.
Yo, Jalen. The thing about it is, like, that Mavericks team was the essence of a team. Like, they needed everybody.
Yeah, they had a crew. They had a crew, Ron. Yes, they did.
Obviously, you say that with every team. Like, you could say that the Nuggets don't win without KCP, but they still may have a shot. Like, that team, I think if you take any of those pieces off, it's bad for him. It's ugly. So I think everybody was important. But it's like, come on, man. What J. Kidd, and I just described it to you, just as a leader, bringing championship experience, being able to tell people, you be here, you be here, being able to be a coach on the floor. Also, the way he was shooting at that time, the way he was their best passer at that time. And on top of that, the fact that
he wasn't their best shooter.
Bron. No, I didn't say their best shooter. I said he was shooting.
Oh, okay, my.
Because earlier in his career, he got the notion that but at that time, and also the fact that he checked Bron.
Respect Peja Morris.
I respect Peja.
How much did Peja play that series?
Not much.
That's irrelevant, gentlemen. He's a champion. He's a champion.
Yo, Ticket, I gotta ask you though. This super chat from South School Beats, who you got as a passing hub? J. Kidd, Steve Nash, Jokic.
Yeah, I'm with J. Kidd. I just think that J. Kidd was at the top of the game passing the ball, and he made the best of it, even though he didn't lead those guys in Jersey to the chip. I mean, to win the chip. He did end up winning the chip in his career as a point guard, but I just thought that his ability, his capability to do that passing the ball, I thought he did it at the highest level out of everybody that's on that list.
Yeah, Jalen, and he played ball, so he knows.
Do you guys have all of them as top 5 passers, or is there people like you have above those guys?
Magic, Stockton. Let's see. Magic, Stockton, James, Nash. Passers. Just straight distributors. Who am I thinking about?
Jokic is not in my top 5.
Chris Paul.
Yeah, but I think
I've probably got them all top 6. I don't know, but I don't know about 5.
I'm not sure. Mars, you and I still go back and forth with this. I'm not ready to put Joker as a passer ahead of Chamberlain. I'm just not.
Oh, okay.
I'm just not.
He passed Wilt like 4 years ago. I'm gonna be honest. He was a better passer than Wilt in 2019. I don't know what to tell you. He was just better. But if you think Wilt's a better passer, I guess. I mean, Wilt's not even ahead of Bill Walton, so I mean.
Cool. I don't know about that, Mars. But
I'm certain of that, but it's fine.
I'm straight.
We can agree to disagree.
Yeah, we're gonna have to agree to disagree on that one. But I don't know if I can name 10. I'm having a difficult time naming 5 passes better than than Joker.
I think Magic, LeBron,
Magic, Stockton,
James, and Nash are for sure. Those four are for sure. After that,
Magic,
Chris
Stockton,
Paul,
Jason Kidd.
Rajon
I'm just having a
Rondo.
difficult time. Rondo,
Yeah.
you can make the argument with Rondo over Joker.
No, yeah.
No, man. I think Rondo at his peak was doing it all.
How am I glazing Jokic now for saying he's a better passer than Will? What? I just said I was cutting him between Nash and Kids, but I'm glazing him for saying he's a better passer than Will. Whatever, man.
All right, y'all, keeping it pushing. K Spiffy said, "What's up, everyone? If there's ever a rap/hip hop debate show, can I try out to be a panelist? I'm a small content creator, but I'm willing to put in the work."
PC rap, PC music.
Hey man, I'm telling you, Jay-Z was never the biggest rapper in the world. We standing on it. He was never the
never
rapper
at no point.
Never.
We broke this down already.
So by my Steph Curry logic, Jay-Z can't be in the top 10.
That's the logic y'all want to use. But I ain't with that. But he was never
can't be top 10 if you were never.
So we go with 96. That was Big and Pac, right?
We got Big and Pac.
That was when Jay-Z just dropped. Big and even a Big past that year, but he still was the best.
He was still bigger.
98 is
Big Pac, Nas, then DMX came through.
Yeah, 98, 99 was DMX time. He had like a platinum album.
I think 99 DMX had 2 albums that year. Nobody ever did that in the history of rap. He had 2 albums that was #1 in the country. He dropped 2 albums. In 2000.
Oh, that's Eminem had a time.
I was just about to say the Marshall Mathers prop. The Marshall Mathers prop. 2001.
It was so Eminem from 2000 to about 2000 and I say.
When was it 50 Cent?
Yeah, when did before
2003?
About 03, 04.
2003 is 50.
Yeah,
I think
2000.
I think 2003.
Hold on, wait. Not only 50 though. Not only 50. Y'all gotta remember Nelly. Y'all don't forget about Nelly.
Nelly was never. I don't ever remember Nelly being the best.
Wait, y'all just relax and listen. Y'all just relax and listen.
Please, okay, I'm listening.
The argument. Just
go ahead, Big Ox.
The argument was never about who was, you know what I'm saying,
particularly
the best rapper. It was about who was running the game, selling the most records, the most radio play, who was the biggest at this time. And Nelly was clearing Jay-Z at
there was an argument for Nelly 100 when he dropped with the Saint
Nelly was clearing about in those categories. Nelly was clearing Jay-Z. T.I. was clearing. T.I. came around. They were clearing
in 2001.
No, not
I don't know the specific year. I'm just talking about it was around that time from 01 to 04, 05, sometime when that
because right around 2001 is when right around 2001 was when Nas and Jay-Z got into the big beef. That's when that's when that
Nas and Jay-Z were never big in the Eminem commercial. Like Eminem was running stuff for about a 3-year run. He was that guy. And it said then 50 Cent and Kanye had their run. When Kanye dropped College Dropout, Ludacris, yeah, they were all there.
Are we really saying that Ludacris was better than Jay-Z? Is that what we're doing right now?
We're not saying that.
Bigger than Jay-Z. Ludacris was bigger than Jay-Z. It's the same Jay-Z. It's the same Jay-Z who boycotted Grammys.
My thing about Jay-Z is that
even though he won
throughout all this time, he was consistently like number 3, number 2 the whole time. He was always one of the biggest in the game, no doubt about it. But he was never the best. He was never number 1.
Steph Curry. That's who he is.
That's what it sounded like. That's what it sounded like to me. It sounded like he was Curry.
That's high praise.
No, it's not because at some point Curry was the best on the planet. Before the end of the 2016 season, the idea was Steph Curry. I didn't think he was, but the idea was Steph Curry was the best player on the planet. Back-to-back league MVPs that just won the world championship. There was the logic was Steph Curry was the best player on the planet. James ended that in 2016, but there was a time when he was that. I'm sitting here listening to you dudes tell me that at no point during Jay-Z's career he was the best or he was the biggest artist on the planet. At no point.
Let's break it down again. Hold on. So after 50 Cent, we had the 50 Cent Kanye era, right? Jay-Z was not better than, especially during Kanye's run too. College Dropout, all that. He was not doing that. And then we had Lil Wayne's run. Lil Wayne was running it.
We can't argue that.
Lil Wayne from about 10, 11. And then Drake's still on top for about a decade.
I will tell you this, though, Jalen. I will agree in this aspect. There was a point from 2005 to 2007 where Lil Wayne was on the radio like every other song. Like there was no song on the radio that didn't have Lil Wayne on it. I felt like he was on everything, and he was everywhere. for like
Wayne
2
was
straight
everywhere.
years.
He was.
And if Chill-Town,
But I feel the same way about Jay-Z.
If we're talking about who's
In like
the best,
from like 2000 to like 2004. Like
He
he's
was on the
doing
radio, but not more than Eminem.
If we're talking about who's the best too, and if we're talking about who's the best, it still ain't Jay-Z because he still wasn't better than Nas. He still wasn't better than DMX.
He was better than DMX.
He's still.
Yes, he
What
was.
is like what? As a rapper?
Yes, he was. He was better than DMX.
I got Jay-Z.
I love
And I
these
dig
music
DMX.
tangents be
What?
going down.
He wasn't better than DMX. He wasn't better than
I digress, Ron.
He wasn't better than
That's
Jadakiss. So you know,
Jadakiss.
See, now.
You want to keep going, Ox?
And to understand, I want to say
you don't like
No, keep going, Ox. I know. I'm sure you got more on that list.
I like Jay-Z. I like.
Are you
Jay-Z
saying Big Ox as a lyricist? Because that's what it sounds like you're saying. As a lyricist.
As a lyricist, DMX and Nas clear. I mean,
Y'all
Jadakiss
and
Nas. If y'all would stop yelling, just let me correct myself.
Please clean this up so I can understand.
Jadakiss and Nas clear Jay-Z as a lyricist. Yeah.
Okay.
How?
Jadakiss and Nas clear
Nas
Jay-Z
up with
as a
Jadakiss.
lyricist.
We can have a debate.
I'm okay with
Nas.
Nas. How does Jadakiss and DMX clear as lyricists?
He walked back DMX. He walked back DMX.
Okay, so he said He said Jadakiss and Nas.
I like
Who said,
DMX.
imagine me giving a chick half my traps like she wrote half my raps. Yeah, I'm having that. You'll be the same chick that when you leave, take the credit cards and the bank book and take everything you came with. What?
That's elementary. But
Jadakiss, are you serious? You don't even know where that reference is from. You don't even know where that reference is. One more time for the people in the cheat sheets. Imagine me giving a chick half my traps like she wrote half my raps. Yeah, I'm having that. You'll be the same chick that when you leave the credit cards and the bank book and take everything you came with. You don't even know where that's from.
I don't gotta know exactly where it's from.
That's not elementary. Come on, B.
Look, what I'm saying is Nas and Jadakiss clear. That's all I'm saying. Jadakiss ain't never dropped a whack verse, not one time. You know what I'm saying?
I never heard nothing from Jay-Z that was whack. I don't got the bright watch. I got the right watch. I'm right out the ball. I'm both spot. What?
How does that make him a better lyricist though? Because he never had a whack verse. Cool. How is he a better lyricist?
Facts, Nick. That's facts, Nick. Jay-Z ain't wanted with Jada. That's why he sick beans on him. He ain't wanted with Jada. He said that's why he called the Broad Street bully.
Oh
he
my
couldn't
God,
handle
this is
it.
nuts right here. I don't got the right watch.
And bro, real quick with Nelly, people trying to disrespect Nelly. Billboard Artist of the Decade. All right, Artist of the Decade from 2000 to 2009. Eminem was 1. Usher was 2. Shout out Usher doing this thing. Confessions, one of the gold albums. Nelly was 3rd. Nelly's ahead of Beyonce. Nelly's ahead of Alicia Keys, 50 Cent, Britney Spears in 2000s. Nelly was the 3rd most successful artist for Billboard. That's how big Nelly was.
Please,
you being an accolade merchant for music is crazy.
Can I please ask a question? Can I please ask a question? Because this is blowing the hell out of me. All right, so we're gonna have the conversation that Jay-Z's never been the hottest rapper ever.
Ever, Big Damo. Ever.
No. That's absolutely fine. I would say, are you determining that by what? Sales and what are you determining that by?
Combination everything. We're talking radio play. We're talking sales. We're talking how music are played at clubs, parties, all that. We're talking the commercial, Billboard Hot 100.
That's absolutely fine. I can definitely understand how we're getting to the point to where we can say, I don't know, Nelly and guys like that are hotter. I give you that. That's fine. I won't argue that. Yeah. But if we're gonna say, was there? Oh, well, I don't think anybody's saying it. Maybe Ox, because Ox is tripping. But I don't think anyone. Y'all do know there's been times where he's still been the best rapper, though, right? Like he was still the best rapper.
No, I don't know that, Damo.
Again, Ox, I already knew you would say that because you're saying Jadakiss is over him as a lyricist. So I already know where you're.
E40 clears. E40 clears.
No, fuck! Oh my God!
You can say, I
can't, Ron. I can't handle this. Me, I'm
during the 50 Cent Kanye run, you can make case Jay-Z was the best was the best rapper in the game for sure during that.
And I would say because I see somebody ask me how what you call it, how Damo. I would say it will also depend on how you rate what's a good rapper or what the best rapper is. Personally, when it comes to, and I'm stuck on the Jadakiss thing. I get it. He raps fast. That doesn't mean you rap. Just because you rap fast don't mean you rap good.
Talking about
I'm
Jadakiss?
sorry.
Are we talking about Twister? Or are we talking about
I'm
Jadakiss?
sorry, I was thinking Twister. That's how little I fucking care. I'm sorry. Okay.
He's
Now,
shooting shots
my
fired.
fault. I was thinking
Yo,
Twister
Dumbo,
this
that's
whole
crazy.
time. You said
You
Jadakiss.
out of pocket.
Now I'm really thinking about it.
What
Oh
D
my
block?
God.
Locks.
No way.
Come on, Damo. I can't take you seriously
No
on
way.
this subject because I've heard you praise Lil Uzi Vert, so I can't take you seriously.
Praise him as what? Praise him as what? Praise him as what?
As anything less than a mean joke rapper.
Literally,
Praising
all I said was-
praising
all I said was
praising
Lil Uzi has
praising
good
Lil
songs.
Uzi
I
praising
like
Lil
him.
Uzi as anything more than just
He makes good
gimmick.
music. He has some
Dude
good
is a
music.
meme. He's not a
It's
musician.
it's
He's
not
a meme.
gimmick.
He's
It's
not
not
real.
a gimmick though.
There's a
It's not a
difference. There's a difference
You know
between
who
a
was
musician
a,
and a
you
meme.
know who was a, you know who was
You
a
know,
gimmick? You know who was a gimmick? DJ Unk was a gimmick. The dude that made Walk It Out in two-step, that was a gimmick. The gimmick was just making dance. That's a gimmick. Little Uzi has made a variety of different sounds, but I'm not even trying to say Little Uzi is a top whatever rapper, especially all time. I'm not
Right,
doing that.
right.
So it's not like I'm throwing him in those conversations. I just say he got some hard music. He has some good music. I like Little Uzi. But in terms of, in terms of putting guys over Jay-Z in terms of skill, I got a hard time with that one.
We do that all the time, Damo, with players. Like we'll say that this dude is a better scorer, this dude is a better rebounder. Like we do that, and that's exactly what you're doing right now with Jay-Z. You telling me that Jay-Z, I'm sorry, not Jada and Nas, clear Jay-Z as a lyricist. Like Jay-Z don't spit, he don't spit.
They don't clear, but they're just obviously better. Especially,
what's the difference between obviously better and clearing? Because obviously better means like there's no question, it's obvious.
Hey, Chad, y'all can call me. Listen, I ain't gonna hold you. I give free reign. Call me the biggest music casual because I dead ass did confuse Jadakiss and Twister. So I won't even fight the Dom's a casual take on that. Hey, I'll take it on
no, for real, Damo, if you thought I was talking about Twister, bro, you should have been tripping a little more.
That's why I was, bro. Did you not hear me? I was like, bro.
Hey, and respect Twister though. I respect Twister, respect Do or Die. You know what I'm saying? Respect all that. You know, I fuck with Twister, but man, come on.
I want to know why Jay-Z
Show me
is
some
better.
respect
I want to know why
that.
DMX is better than Jay-Z. I'd like to know that.
I just like his music more. I just like what DMX. I just like DMX more.
Oh, so you like his music more? Okay.
Yeah, I like DMX far more than Jay-Z.
All right.
And hey, no layers saying Usher's not like that. Do you understand who Usher is? Especially when Confessions dropped.
Usher right
he
now.
had
This
is the record that Usher had too. The most weeks #1 for combined songs in a year ever at all time was Usher until Drake came along. You know, a decade later he had a run, but he had a run where every song he had from Confessions, every song was going #1. He had go #1, Burn, Confessions Part 2, My Boo.
Stop
talking. He was running that whole year.
Bruno Mars is better. Stop talking to me about Usher.
Bruno Mars is
I got
better.
let's
move on, Ron. Hey, Damo ain't on no nonsense. I don't know if that's nonsense what Damo talk about. I don't know about that nonsense. I don't know if Damo talking nonsense here. Bruno Mars is an entertainer.
Yeah, Bruno Mars is an entertainer, but he don't got the catalog of Usher. He don't got a Confessions. He might not even have a My Way. I got love for Bruno Mars too, but he don't have Usher's catalog.
You just hyping that shit up because it sound cute. That's all I'm saying. If you talking about
cute,
if we're talking about really listening to someone's musical talent, actual talent on that microphone, singing.
Damo, have you heard Superstar? Damo, have you heard Superstar? Have you heard the notes?
Usher can sing.
Have you heard Bruno Mars on the mic? Listen, I'm not saying who has the deeper catalog. I'm not saying if you put him in a versus that Bruno was winning. That's not what I'm saying. I can understand that Usher has hits. I'm not denying that. But in terms of who has a better voice, who's the better singer, who's more talented as a singer, I would say Bruno Mars. Am I bugging?
You know, I'll say this. As a musician, Bruno Mars, he plays more instruments. Vocally, he has a wider range, but Usher's tone, I think is slightly better than Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars' range is higher. You can debate the voices. As a songwriter, Bruno Mars clears. I'm gonna give you that. But as a live performer,
sounds like Bruno Mars clears.
Sounds like Bruno Mars is better, right?
I got love for
you gave this man Bruno Mars every category.
You talk about Confessions. What was that one song Bruno Mars got? It's What I Like. Luckily for you, that's what I like.
That's not even comparable. That's not even comparable.
That is a fire song.
Y'all up here talking about Bruno Mars. Y'all up here talking about Bruno Mars like he's Stevie Wonder or something. Like, come on, man.
Bruno Mars is this generation
punk band in 2021, 2022, and it was fire. What?
Y'all are talking about Bruno Mars like he's Stevie Wonder. Could y'all cut it out?
The
No, we
motherfucker's
not.
talented.
We-
He's
Yo,
just,
man,
he's
I-
that
Yeah, he is
talented.
super talented.
He's
Yes,
that
he is
talented.
super
You
talented.
can't,
I got
you
love
can't
for
talk
Stevie.
about
I think
Usher
Bruno
like
Mars
that.
might be more
That's
talented
the
than
point.
Stevie.
You can't talk
Yo,
about Usher like
Dumbo.
that.
Bruno Mars ain't never ran shit though.
What?
Like, what
Yeah,
is Bruno
he
Mars ran?
What is he
No, but-
ran?
Yeah, like has
He's
he
not
kind
the
of-
biggest
has he
artist in
just
the world.
dominated?
What
Has he
kind
just
of
been on a 3-year
nasty
stretch of
NBA
dominance?
casual
Ain't no way
narrative
you
is
guys
this?
say all this stuff then hate on Taylor Swift. This is
What kind
crazy.
of? What
Yeah,
kind? Hey,
Taylor
hey,
Swift
hey,
been running
Taylor
it.
Swift been running the
I have
industry
all
for
that, but
15
what is he
years.
ran,
Taylor Swift
though?
been doing her
All right,
thing.
man.
Taylor
That's
Swift been doing her
hard.
thing.
Has he ever just went on a stretch where it was like, damn, Bruno is just
You know what's
everything
crazy?
go
You know
through
what's
Bruno
crazy?
right
You know
now?
what's crazy?
Yeah,
You know
like
what's crazy?
2018, 19,
Look
I
up-
think it was.
Look up the songs Bruno Mars
was
wrote
going
and tell me
crazy,
he ain't
bro.
running nothing.
Yeah, Bruno
Bruno was going
number
crazy.
one.
Look
He
up the
wrote a
song
lot of
he
He
them.
was
wrote.
going crazy, but was
Just so you know,
everything Bruno wrote?
just so you know, Jalen, Usher did not write Confessions. That was Jermaine Dupri's story.
I know
He
Jermaine
didn't
Dupri.
write that. Just so we clear.
Showtime, you know who that album was about? That was about
Yes, it was about
Jackson.
him and Janet Jackson. Yes,
Yeah, I'm with you. But the delivery, Usher's
absolutely.
delivery
He didn't
on that
write
was
that.
phenomenal.
Bruno Mars writes his own songs.
He does. Trust, as an artist, I get it. The songwriting, he plays multiple instruments. You know, the
That
production, he
joint
does
when
it
I
all.
was your, when I
Who
should
said
have
it?
brought you flowers
SK
when I was your
SK
man. I was like,
2001?
woo.
That one's fire. I
SK
like that one.
2001
too.
said it the
Woo.
best. SK
That was
2001 said
fire.
it the best in the chat, man. Quality over quantity. Yo, listen, you can sit here and tell me all these numbers and all this hoopla. He has this. I don't give a damn about that. Talk about the quality of the content. If we're just sticking to quality, Bruno Mars is better. I'm not about to sit here and be like, oh, he just clears. He's better. That's all I'm saying. He's better.
And
Y'all talking about Bruno Mars like he, y'all talking about him like he Prince or something.
And to Buddy in the chat talking about reality rap. And to Buddy in the
Jalen, he's
chat about
not like
reality
Prince.
rap. This Jay-Z raps reality all the time. And Jay-Z raps about his reality, whether he's talking about, what did he say? Cough up a lung, where you from, Marcy, son. And he wrote a whole song about his project.
Nice.
And now we talk about art.
Nobody's like no.
But then he
as
talks
far as
about
I'm concerned-
shining. So and then Jay-Z talks about going from that to shining. So I'm cruising in the car, got this bougie broad. She say, Jigga, man, you rich. Take that do-rag off. Man, I hit a U-turn. I'm like, Bird, I'm dropping you back off. Get back in front of the club. Jigga, why'd you do that for? Thug until the end. Tell a friend. Won't change for no paper. Plus, I've been rich. To say that this dude rhyming is not fire is nuts to me.
We're not up here disrespecting,
I
Jay.
can't quote one Nelly line where I'm going, yo, this dude is on the same lyrically. He in the same category with Jay-Z. I can't quote one of them.
Well, that's not what we're talking about. Sometimes we're not comparing Nelly's lyrics to Jay-Z's.
I'm about to say,
What are we talking about then? Because that's part of it.
We already went over this. We already went over this. You know what I'm saying? Like we talk. When we went to lyrics, it was a different group of guys we were talking about.
Shut me up, Terrell. Shut me up with some rhymes, Terrell. While you running your 16-year-old mouth. Shut me up with some rhymes. Because we can do this back and forth all day.
16 years old. Nothing wrong with being 16.
Let's not bring.
You ain't 16 no more, Marge. You just turned 17, so you ain't 16.
Yeah, but that was when I was 16. There was nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
Let's not bring out the Lil Wayne lyrics. Just saying.
Facts. But my thing is, we're not trying to disrespect. At least I'm not trying to disrespect Jay-Z. I'm not saying he's whack. I'm not saying he's weak. I'm just saying Nas and Jay is better.
Scarface was dope. I don't think he was better than Jay. No, I don't.
Yeah. That's all I was saying. That Nas and Jadakiss are better. That's not no disrespect. Those are two legends.
Well, that's crazy, Jimmy Two Shoes. Chris Brown and
I will
better than Michael Jackson.
Never. I can't even believe you put that up there.
All right.
I can't even believe you put that up there. I can't even.
Hey, we
believe
went
you
on
put
some
that up
side tangents. In the midst of us doing this, we got a bunch of super chats. So we're gonna go ahead and dive deep into these super chats. We still got to talk about the San Antonio Spurs and I guess their upcoming dynasty that is about to start getting built on the back of Victor Wembanyama. But we'll get there in a second. Let's start with these super chats right from the top.
Ron, real quick though, Nelly D used to spit, bro. Go ahead.
Football Breakdown said KD should be Winter Soldier for obvious reasons.
Because he's a snake, and you know what, Captain America is a snake too for not letting Tony Stark kill Bucky. He should have. I'm staying out of this. Tony Stark should have killed both of their asses. That's all I'm saying.
We all know why Captain America's a sucker. I said it earlier.
Yeah, I don't like Captain America. I don't know. Maybe that's what I'd say. I never liked him.
Shut up, Chris Evans.
Anytime I
Tend
see a black man,
to Stunner, you're exactly right. I mean, that's why Nas roasted him in Ether. How much of Biggie rhymes gonna come out your fat lips?
anytime I see a black man say Captain America's favorite superhero, I side eye him. It's like, all right.
Wow. What's your issue with
because of the era he grew up in, man.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
You heard Damo just said that Captain America chose the Jim Crow
He chose to go back and stay in Jim Crow. Listen, if you seen the end, you know how it ended, man. He had one job: go back, take the stones where you picked them up from. This man said, "I'll do you one better. I'm gonna just stay."
Hey man, that's the power of true love, y'all. It's the power of true love.
You telling me he just had enough of Falcon and was like, nah, I can't do it.
Man, and they tried to say, oh, he give Falcon a shield so they don't suspect nothing. Nah, buddy, we know where you stay. You want to talk about love? Yeah, the love for separation, for segregation. That's what you love.
Bobby Croker, just so you know, Ice Cube is my favorite West Coast rapper of all time.
That's crazy.
Damo,
is that something you just realized today, this morning we were talking about?
Man, I said it the moment I watched the movie. And I'm like, yo, why is Cap not back? I'm like, there's no way he stayed, right? Old man sitting over there just looking off in the distance. I'm like, oh, no, he really is racist. He is. Confirmed. Racism confirmed. You gonna stay in
racism from Captain America.
Man. You this proactive, progressive. And then on top of that, it ain't like the timeline changed and he tried to stop and fight racism. No, he kept it the exact same.
You know what? You're right though, Damo, because he knew everything that was going to happen.
And
he ain't try to save Malcolm. He ain't try to save Martin. He ain't even try to save JFK. That's crazy.
Nothing changed. Nothing in the timeline changed at all.
How you gonna go back? You gonna go back in time and not change something? What you going back in time for?
You don't spend all that time with Nick Fury, Falcons, your underling, all these black people you done met and you love. And you telling me you not gonna change? You ain't even drop bread off of their family. Nothing. You ain't do nothing for him. Yeah, bro.
He just wanted to spend time with the love of his life, man. He wanted to spend time
with his whole life. Yeah, he just sat there dancing with her in the living room his whole life. Nah, they went out. He's seen the separate water fountain. He
already saved the world, though. He already saved the world multiple times.
He's seen the Emmett Till story. We know the truth.
Oh,
we know the truth.
He should ask Captain America. You're getting exposed by Damo right now.
I'm good on Captain America. He's just a dude on steroids. That's all he is.
Moving along. Brett said, I just met someone. His name's Chris Moss. Today at the gym I work at in Richmond, Virginia. That knows Ticket. He told me how he's exactly like this in real life and also how he's actually like that with The Rock.
Ticket wasn't lying. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's not a gimmick up here. Ticket don't come up here and turn his personality on. It's not an on and off switch, y'all. Ticket really will cook you through the hard way in real life. Y8MS said, Damo, your son Greatest is here. Shout out Greatest.
My motherfucking stepson. Shout out Nicki Minaj.
Alan R said, hey guys, with a waving emojis. What's up, Alan?
And by the way, Damo, that's the same dude, Greatest. He said that Jordan was the best ever. I mean, he said Jordan was the best player in 1987. No way. Nobody thought Jordan was the best player in the league in 1987. Nobody thought that. Nobody.
It makes sense.
Magic Johnson.
Mike said, dumb. I just saw the 2013 DEA investigation yesterday.
LeBron is innocent, cleared of all charges.
He has a lot of money to make things.
I will say this though, and some of y'all might disagree with me. When you are at that status and you getting that kind of money, to have people around you, you got to know how they moving. So to be associated with a dude like that, I'm having a difficult time believing the logic that he didn't know dude was doing that sort of stuff.
Not guilty. Y'all got to feel me. Christopher D said, best diss track you've ever heard. Mine was Nas, Ether to Jay-Z.
Yeah, what's up, niggas?
That's a big one.
That's simple, right there.
Anytime you hear that, anytime you hear that, you know what time it is. He come through. Hey, what's up, niggas?
Big Ox. Big Ox. No Vaseline ended NWA. They didn't make another song after that. Their careers were over. That was it. They were done. No Vaseline ended them dudes. Like Jay-Z actually came back after Ether. He dropped Super Ugly, and then he dropped a bunch of other albums. No Vaseline ended NWA. We never heard from them again.
You're right. But I mean, I think the greatest diss track ever is Hit 'Em Up, though. I think we can agree that Hit 'Em Up kind of.
I wanted to fight for real.
I think Pusha T had like probably the hardest. Like the dude revealed that Drake had a child. Like that's pretty.
Whoa, he revealed Drake had a child.
That's kind of crazy.
Tupac said that's why I effed your wife, you fat mother effer. And you talking about Pusha T said?
I mean, see that's cool. I can say that. Like I can just say that in a song. I can say that song. But I screwed your wife. You girl. I can say that. But to actually expose someone, like that's kind of a. That's like real life serious stuff. You know what I mean? Like you can say, "Oh, you're a
So,
clown." You're
so
this,
having
you're that.
sexual intercourse with somebody's wife isn't serious.
Wait,
Which
did that
didn't
actually
happen, by the
happen?
way. Which
That's what I'm
was a
saying. I
lie,
don't know
by
if
the
that
way.
happened or not. I don't
No,
know
it
if that
didn't happen.
happened.
It was a lie.
I've heard conflicting statements that people was
Okay.
come walking in the studio with Faith and Pac. You know what I'm saying? That was hugged
No.
up real good. So I can't say whether it happened or not. You know what I'm saying? But I've heard a lot of things saying that it did happen. So you know what I'm saying? I mean I wasn't
Faith
there.
herself said it didn't happen. Faith
Of
herself
course she
said
would
it.
say that.
Drake
She
back to
better
back
say it
will
didn't
catch
happen.
you.
Kick in the door, wave in the fall. You better say you didn't happen. Shit.
All right, y'all. Moving along. Slitherman with the super chat said, if Jordan never retires, isn't Hakeem potentially never the best in the world? Isn't it based on the top guys that are around when you are at your best?
No, because I think that the Rockets would have beat them. I don't think they would have won it 8 years in a row.
Yeah,
I think I think one of the best things that ever happened to his career was him retiring.
Yeah, Jordan's career is surrounded with a lot of mystery that I think benefits him. That you get a lot of what if. So what if he didn't retire? Does he win this? And because we never know, he gets a lot of benefit of the doubt. Like if he doesn't retire after 98, it's very likely they lose in 99, but we never got to see Jordan lose when he really started winning, which I think is why he gets a lot of this lore around him.
Mars, I don't think they beat the. I'm not sure they beat the Rockets in '94. I'm not sure.
Neither am I, but we'll never know, and that's why Jordan's career is so mythical.
Christopher D with the super chat said, more egregious snub. Dominique Wilkins not being selected on the top 50 ballot, or Dwight Howard snub from the top 75.
When Dominique Wilkins, why is it Dwight Howard, Mars?
There's more players to choose from, and he still didn't make it. Like you have more. There's 75 instead of 50, and he still didn't make it when he is unequivocally a top 75 player of all time. I think he's probably a top 50 player of all time. So the fact he didn't make it, whereas Dominique at least made the top 75. Like he at least got in on the second go around. Dwight Howard didn't make it, so I think it's a bigger snub.
Which is
How many years
fair.
was Dominic into his career when that 50 was made?
It was in 1996. So 1997, he was in year 14. He was over.
Yeah, he was done. He was done.
He only played 2 more years. But with that being said, Mars, just so you know, the year that he retired, it was only 7 dudes in NBA history that scored more points than him. I don't think that there's ever been a player, if we had the top 75 players picked, if 7 dudes score more points than that guy and he's off the list, or even top 50, if he's off the list, there's going to be, he would be off the list. He would not be off the list. I mean, he was the guy chasing Jordan all of them years with the scoring championships. He was the guy making legendary plays, not just in the regular season, but in the playoffs. He's known for having legendary duels with Larry Bird, with Jordan, and the fact that he was a bucket getter. 100% he was a bucket getter. I'm just having a difficult time in 1997 there being 50 guys better than him, because I don't think that there were. No.
Neither do I. I think he should have made it, but I think he at least made the top 75, which means that the NBA view him as above Dwight Howard now. I think that's incorrect. I think Dwight is better than Dominique, but Dwight didn't make the list and Dominique did. So I think Dwight's a bigger snub because Dominique at least got his revenge. I guess he's now on the list. It took him 25 years too late, but he at least got on it. Dwight hasn't made it, which is fair.
He did do that. But with that being said, Mars, I mean, we're talking about it. Why is it that in 2020 or 2021 when they came out with the list, the top 75 list?
22.
22? Maybe 22. I'm not sure, Mars. But so in 2022, so the top 75 list, why did the top 50 list stay the same? Because I'm having a difficult time with the logic that after 1997, which was we're talking about what, 25 years later?
Years ago, yeah.
Talking about 25 years later. Of those 50 guys and all the guys that played in the NBA, there weren't more guys that were better than the top 50. That top 50 list should have changed. I agree.
And there wasn't a rule. That's the problem. There wasn't a rule that said you had to keep the 50 guys. That wasn't written anywhere for the voters. It wasn't you have to keep the 50. It just somehow went that way. I guess the people who voted didn't want to be disrespectful and take people off, so they kept them all on. But there was no official ruling that said the top 50 must stay and you add 25. They just didn't kick guys like Lenny Wilkins or whoever else off the list. So I don't know why, but that's just how it ended up working. And I think it's stupid. But that wasn't like they had to do it that way, which is why I think Dwight being snubbed is worse, because it's not like, yeah, they only added 25, but they didn't have to only add 25. They just chose to do that, which means Dwight had 75 opportunities to get in. And he didn't make it, which is stupid.
Well, he chose it because I think it was the 75th anniversary of the NBA. So those two things coincided. So
Dwight should make the top 100 list.
I'm having a difficult time with 100 guys being better than Dwight Howard. Good luck with that.
Very difficult.
No way they're gonna put Dwight Howard in the top 100 list because they got to big all these kids that they got in the NBA right now.
They're gonna have to boot these 50s and 60s guys off the list. I'm sorry, they gotta go.
So in 25, they have to. So in 25 years, right? When the NBA is 100, you telling me that in 100 years there's been 100 players, so we're gonna have 25 more players better than Dwight Howard? I'm having a difficult time.
That's this top 75 list. It wasn't.
I don't know, but I'm having a difficult.
It wasn't in the top 75 players. They kept all the original 50 in there. So they weren't really.
And some of them dudes gonna have to come off, yo.
100%. A lot of them.
Some of them dudes are gonna have to come off. They're gonna have to.
All right, y'all. Starvinsky Motley said, "Salute one of my troops put me on your show, and I love it. Great content, or keep up the great content.
No doubt.
Appreciate you, Starvinsky."
What?
It's Mr. GQ to you. Said anybody who gets their music from the radio and the charts is a casual.
Where do you get your music?
That's what we were talking about. We were talking about casual stuff.
Okay, hold on, guys. Where do you get your music from? Because last I checked, Taylor Swift tears up the charts. And Mars, you think she the best ever?
Not because of that. That's
exactly why you think she the best.
No, it's because I listen to her and she's better than everyone else.
So the fact that she's on the charts and at the top of the charts,
I don't check the charts. I don't check the charts. My music is on my playlist because I like listening to it. It's not because this is on the charts and it's not. Taylor Swift won 4 awards the other night.
Yes, she did at the MTV Music Awards. Yes, she did.
And I also don't care about that because she was the GOAT regardless of if she won any awards or not. It just so happens that she has the biggest fan base because they all seem to think she's the best.
How long has she been around, by the way? We're in 2023. How long has she been around?
The longevity is
close to 20 years. Her first album dropped what, 06, 05?
Yeah, it's 15 plus years.
Yeah.
So she's got longevity. She's been at the top. She's my most listened to artist.
The top of what, Mars? She's at the top of what?
The top of the game. She in the pop industry. Who's above Taylor Swift?
Her album sales.
No one.
Some people are making an argument for Katy Perry, but I'm good.
Katy Perry had a run where she was bigger. Justin Bieber had a run where he was a little bigger too. During
Taylor Swift has been there for 15 years and there hasn't been much movement from the top spot. But I just think she's the best because that's who I listen to the most. Like my playlist is like it's a lot of songs. It's like 22% Taylor Swift, which is a lot for
dumping right here. Okay, corral niggas, foul niggas. What? All right. Y'all act like Nelly didn't used to spit. Nelly used to spit.
I'd be lying if I didn't say I didn't have country grammar on repeat.
What about the whole pimp juice out? Oh, come on.
Pimp juice was tough. You can find me. Want me for my
You can find me in St. Louis rolling on dubs, splitting on dubs.
Hey, that whole summer was lit.
Nelly used to dump, and then the thing about it though, before he even came out with country grammar, he had tracks with the Saint Lunatics where Nelly didn't used to. He before he rapped a different way. Nelly used to dump, but he got into the pretty boy gimmick. You know, it worked for him. He got paid for it, but you know, Nelly used to rap about real street shit too though. Like Nelly used to dump.
Add Nelly back with Ashanti. He stayed getting W's.
Shout out Nelly.
No Cat Prince said, we go to game 7, injuries and suspensions happen, but we would never beat the Cavs again, I guess.
It would have been a good
Doctor sent through a super chat, an amazing super chat. Just said dub Bron. Amazing super chat. Great super chat.
Ron, stop sending
Sasigo
super
Beach
chats.
said-
You trolling, bro.
Ron
Stop
got a
sending
burner,
super
bro.
chats.
Ron got the burner
You
account.
catfish.
My bad, y'all. And my alias is a doctor. When I'm not on this, I'm in the, you know.
Ron got that Kevin
I'm
Durant
taking care of
burner, y'all.
patients and stuff.
See, Ron, when you do stuff like that, you go overboard. And it's like, okay, we on to you, Ron. Next time do like $10. You know, $10 here, $10 in a couple of days.
Yeah.
You just send the whole 50 euros to the joint. We on top of that, Ron. We
Because I'm in Europe.
way on top of
That's what it is. I got a
You
burner
ain't no
account. I had
goddamn
to put it in a whole different country so I could try to disguise, and I still didn't really.
I'm
Yeah.
on to y'all, bro. I'm on to you. I'm on to y'all.
I think Nelly was dope though.
Next time I'll send it again,
as a
so.
lyricist,
Peso.
I mean that's
Peso.
something different. But I do think that there was a lot of stuff that I did listen to from Nelly, like Grills. That was dope.
Grills was
Nelly
tough.
has
Grills was dope.
Nelly has hit songs in the country charts. Like Nelly real versatile too.
Yeah, that thing what he did with Tim McGraw.
Tim McGraw,
that was
yeah.
fire,
CK said Taylor Swift top 10 because that BBL, right, Mars?
Okay.
I don't think Mars about that BBL life, y'all.
Mars, you didn't find that
I'm not
amusing?
No.
All right, I did. Next. Sasigo Beats said, let's keep it a buck schedule. Shout out me and Quinn.tv on there.
What you call it? Mondays and Thursdays, 7:30 on Twitch.
Y'all heard right here. Check them out. Let's keep it a buck pod. And not the fake let's keep it a buck.
Facts. The real one.
Known Unknown said, what record does LeBron go with his best team against Jordan's championship competition and vice versa? For Jordan, does he go 10-0? LeBron in the 90s, MJ in the 10s.
So we're transferring teams to different
So
eras.
don't want to get into that.
Yeah, I'm playing.
That's a slippery slope.
Jordan 6-0, LeBron's 4, and LeBron's 4-6. It stays the same.
I think teams in
Anybody
the
disagree?
20.
Jalen, move on.
Yeah,
Jalen, move on.
teams
Jalen.
in 20.
No, Bron's not losing in 11. I mean, Jordan's not losing in 11.
Yeah, he loses.
He's not
16.
winning. He's not winning in 07 either.
Yeah, he's not winning against no Kevin Durant's Warriors. He's not winning against the 04.
Move on. We're not doing a Jordan LeBron.
It'd be like that.
Honestly, Jordan's record will look a lot worse than LeBron's does right now. I'm not being real.
Facts.
That's why him retiring was a big deal. Yeah.
Jordan not even making the finals as much. That's the thing.
Easy, Jalen. Let's chill out. Okay, Jalen. Let's relax.
100.
See, we should have just moved on.
No, you're not.
DK sent through a super chat. Said Steph never took a step back for Kevin. In 3 years, in the 3 years that Kevin was with them, Steph led the team in field goal attempts and points, and they tied one time.
And finals MVPs, huh?
Why are y'all saying that he didn't take a step back because he took more shots than him? Compare Steph's shots to the shots he took before Kevin Durant got there. And even if that's the case, look at how he played with Kevin Durant versus without Kevin Durant. If you don't think there was a step taken back or there was an alter to his game, then all right, buddy, just say you love get your pillow off the ground, make sure your knees aren't sore, and just get up from Kevin Durant. At that point, we're just being oblivious. We're being obtuse.
Okay. All right. Taco 101 said, question. In terms of greatness, does staying and building a team go into that for better or worse? Hold on, wait. In terms of greatness, does staying and building a team go into that for better or for worse? They stay with their team / city to get that win. Is that dumb?
No,
he's basically saying is a Giannis staying in Milwaukee, seeing it out and getting the championship worth more than a guy like Kevin Durant, who got it done, but he had to leave OKC and went to Golden State to get it done. Which one means more to the player's greatness? That's what he's saying.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to how good your teams are. Like a GM could build you an amazing team. It's a lot easier to stay when your GM does a great job and you're coaching whatever, and they build a great team around you. You have a great coach versus players who are not put in optimal situations. You know, it's like I think they should leave.
I don't really care.
Look, if Kobe was drafted by Charlotte and he wasn't going to stay there, and they were building.
I'm a big believer in free will. If you don't want to be somewhere, I think you should be able to say you don't want to be there.
Pop Skills said most people who think Steph wasn't the best player in the league at any point or wasn't better than KD are just LeBron fans with agendas.
Jalen, he's talking to you, buddy.
Yeah, I don't even know how that's a LeBron agenda. Like, I think Kevin Durant's just a better basketball player than Steph Curry, and was that throughout most of his career. How's that a LeBron agenda?
You think Luka's better than Steph, so.
I mean, right now, yes. I just don't think it's on the LeBron agenda.
Which is nuts, by the way. Which is absolutely nuts because he outplayed him in the Western Conference Championship, won the NBA championship. We saw he finished third in league MVP votes the year before that, led the league in scoring, everything that he did. And Luka, and going into this season, you still think Luka is better than Steph Curry going into this season. I mean,
Luka he was just in a team that was thankfully better than the teams Luka played with.
What's the difference between the team that he played with this year, with the exception of the trade? What's the difference between the team that he played with last season than the team that he had when he was in the bubble?
You're talking about Luka or Steph?
Luka, because Golden State didn't go to bubble. So what's the difference?
I mean, before the trade, I mean, weren't they? I mean, Jalen Brunson, I think he was the only big piece to really leave. Everything else was relatively similar. I mean, Luka had a phenomenal regular season though. So they still had problems with the 5 spot. Tim Hardaway Jr. is still inconsistent.
Right. I mean, so that still was going on. So the idea of the phenomenal team logic, I mean, Curry wasn't exactly, Draymond wasn't stellar, but Draymond was Draymond. He's getting older. Klay Thompson was in transition. He had just come off a major injury.
Klay's still better than everybody. I think Luka got to play with.
Still,
I think Jordan Poole was better than everybody Luka got to play with.
This is the same Jordan Poole that they ran out of town. He had
Jordan Poole better than Jalen Brunson?
No. When Jalen Brunson left, when Jalen Brunson left, I think everybody else. We're talking.
Oh, so this year.
Yeah. So I think Jordan Poole was better than
the 15 games of Kyrie clears Jordan Poole.
I mean, the whole Kyrie thing again. Like, I mean, that was just a situation where I think you could give him more time to gel together.
This whole season, Mars, or just 15 games.
I take Kyrie for 15 games over Jordan Poole for 82.
Damn. That's strong. I don't know about that one. That's strong.
15 games in the playoffs or 15 games?
No, 15 games overall.
Yeah, I ain't gonna go that now.
Damn. All right, fellas, keeping it pushing.
Mm-hmm.
Toast the Goat said, y'all capping. Who did Wayne always say was the best? Best rapper alive since the best rapper retired. Hashtag Jay-Z.
Oh, that's like when people say that an NBA player says this guy's the best, so you must listen to them. Lil Wayne's allowed his opinion. If he thinks Jay-Z's the best, it doesn't mean we have to agree with him.
CK said, Damo, I'm talking second option to Kevin. Of course the shots decrease, but I'm gonna let you make it clear. I'm gonna let you make it because you are live with your response.
I don't know.
I guess.
All right. Appreciate you, CK. Greatest said being popular is not a metric.
Yeah, I haven't dabbed in a while, so I wanted to. Yeah, I felt like the people were missing out.
I think popularity still matters.
Yeah. What was that, Ron? Let me see that again.
Greatest said being popular for a rapper, or what he say? He said
is that being popular doesn't matter for
being popular isn't a metric for rappers.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
No, it isn't. Yes, it is, because Vanilla Ice was popular. He sucked.
For sure. But every great rapper or 90% of them are still popular. Jay-Z, popular. Lil Wayne, popular. Nas, popular. You know what I mean? So they're still
Soulja Boy was popular.
Hey, facts.
Soulja Boy's the GOAT, man. He's on the Mount Rushmore of rap. I don't know if people
Soulja Boy.
Facts.
Soulja Boy's clear and Lil Uzi Vert. I'll give you that.
Soulja Boy did say that Drake bit his style. Soulja Boy did say that.
He was cooking.
Aramis Jones came through with his daily super chat and he said, where do y'all rank CJ McCollum? Is he up there in the top 30s, 40s? What do y'all think of his career? And even though he doesn't have an all-star, do y'all consider him a future Hall of Famer?
Top 75. He's top 75.
He's not a Hall of Famer. Definitely not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, not even close to the Hall of Fame. He's a top 75 player in the league. I think, maybe.
Could it be? I think it could be a third option on a championship team.
Honestly, yeah, he's somewhere. He's at least. I can't think of. I don't know.
I promise you, he's not top 4. I promise you, he's not top 50. I promise you, he's
not top 50.
So the person in the chat,
he might be top 50. Mars, I don't know.
I gave you 40 names over Julius Randle. He's not close to Julius Randle. So no, he's not top 50. He's not.
Figure this out, Ron. Just guards alone. right? Is he better than he ain't better than Curry? He ain't better than Luka. He ain't better than
We
Irv.
can't go down this whole list.
Yeah, that's a
It's a lot of names. He's not
a
better
lot
than
of
Jimmy or Bam. He's not better than Pascal Siakam. He's not better than James Harden or Embiid. He might not even be better than Tyrese Maxey, depending on how you look at it. He might not be better than Paolo Banchero or Franz Wagner. He's not better than Julius Randle or Jalen Brunson. He's not better than Giannis, Drew Holiday, or Chris Middleton. He's not better than Trae Young, DeJounte Murray, Tyrese Halliburton, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley. He's not better than Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, Mikal Bridges. He might not be better than Nicholas Claxton. He's not better than Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan. He's not better than LaMelo Ball.
Wow. But okay. I'm with you. Keep going.
Respect one of the top 10 defenders in the league, please.
Yeah.
He's not better than LaMelo Ball. He's not better than Ja Morant or Jaren Jackson. He's not better than Jokic or Jamal Murray. He's not better than Luka or Kyrie. He's not better than Kat. He's not better than Anthony Edwards. He might not be better than Rudy Gobert. He's not better than Zion. He's not better than Brandon Ingram. He's not better than Steph Curry. He's not better than Shea. He's not better than LeBron. He's not better than AD. He's not better than Kawhi. He's not better than Paul George. He's not better than Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. He might not be better than DeAndre Ayton. He's not better than Bradley Beal. He's not better than Damian Lillard. He's not better than De'Aaron Fox. He's not better than DeMontis Sabonis. He's not better than Larry Markkinen. And I'm not about to say Jalen Green because people are going to complain. But I gave you a whole bunch of names. He's not better.
That was like 60 guys.
Give me CJ McCollum over DeAndre Ayton. That's the only name I disagree with. I'm going to take CJ.
I said he might not be better than DeAndre Ayton. And I promise you he's not better than Nicholas Claxton. If you guys want to... Nicholas Claxton is one of the 10 best defenders in the league. Yeah, you don't care about defense. That's fine. He's not better than Nicholas Claxton. And you can not care about defense all you want. Nicholas Claxton, one of the top 10 defenders in the league, one of the best rebounders, one of the best finishers around the rim, one of the best rim protectors, one of the most versatile bigs in the league. If he's not better than him, you just don't care about defense. And that's fine. You don't have to.
I gotta see more from Nick Claxton. I don't know. I'm not it.
Yeah, but Mikal Bridges half a season was enough to move people, I guess.
I might have misquoted myself. Was it 30 or 40? That was definitely more than 30 guys. Definitely.
That was damn.
You guys just don't watch Nicholas Claxton, and that's fine.
I just said I gotta watch it more.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
From what I've seen, I haven't seen none of that. But
CJ McCollum's not even better than Draymond Green. I don't know why I left him out, but it's cool. We can move on.
All right, well, there you go. I don't know how many names Mars just mentioned off, but those are the guys that are all better than CJ, and he's somewhere in there.
CJ did have like a 3-year run, though, I'd say, where he was consistently said to be the biggest snub off the All-Star team. That was a few years ago, but he was consistently in that conversation.
Has CJ declined since he left Portland?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think. Yeah, Portland was definitely where his peak, but he's still what? He's still can give you 20 any night, 5-6 assists, get you some playmaking. I think he could be a third option on a championship team.
Okay. Nick Tri-State said, Jaden Styles P chewing up your favorite rapper and your favorite rapper's favorite rapper.
Jada, we saw what Jada did against the Locks battle.
50 didn't want to do with him. Nothing.
They did it.
It's Mr. GQ to you said, how come everyone acts like Melo never had enough of a squad to get it done in Denver? He had squads. He's just not that guy.
They weren't beating the Lakers or the Spurs. No matter how good his teams were, they just weren't going to beat those teams. Which is why I don't blame people for not making the finals in that West, because that West was just... It
was a nightmare.
Denver could have made the finals in the East. I think in 07 or 08, they could not.
With Chauncey Billups, 09. Yeah.
They should have run it back to with that team. But yeah, Mark said he lost the top, 2 top 5 players all time.
When he had Iverson, they lost to the Lakers and the Spurs. Then I think they ended up still losing to the Lakers in 09. It was
in the Western Conference Finals. They did. They wasn't getting past them. They weren't.
Yeah, so he was just losing to the best teams in the conference.
The whole idea is that he wasn't that guy. Nah, that Denver team, as good as they were, they were not better than the Lakers. They were not.
And that team was very good. It's just the best teams in the league were in the West, and Denver wasn't the best team in the league. I do give Harden the same pass. I'm consistent. There's not many times you're going to see me being inconsistent with people. I give Harden the same.
But you giving Harden that pass, can we say, Mars, objectively, that that Carmelo Anthony was that bad in the playoffs like James Harden was?
Okay, hot take. James Harden plays better in the playoffs than Carmelo Anthony. I don't know what to tell you. So I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but James Harden plays better than Carmelo. He might drop off more from his regular season performance, but his drop off.
He better than Carmelo Anthony in the playoffs?
Yep.
I'm gonna go look. I had to go look back some of the series and some of the numbers.
James Harden might drop off more from his regular season,
but he's better than
Carmelo
Carmelo Anthony in the playoffs.
But him falling from level 10 to level 8 is higher than Carmelo's level 7.
I see what you're saying. Yep.
So yes, James Harden plays better.
Because I'm thinking about Carmelo Anthony in the playoffs. I mean, in 2013, that was probably his best. 2009 and 2013, those were the two best teams I thought that he was on with those teams. And against Indiana in 2013, they just got out toughed. They had an old Jason Kidd. Carmelo Anthony was good as a scorer, but I think that what we overvalue, and we're overvaluing Carmelo Anthony as a player and just accepting who he is. He's a bucket getter. That's who Carmelo Anthony is, more than anything. He's a bucket getter. And if you're going to win, you got to be more than a bucket getter. If that's all you are, that's not going to be enough. James Harden was more than that, and he still didn't win.
Yeah, because he had to go against Golden State.
They should have beat Golden State in 18, yo. In 19, they should have beat Golden State in 18.
And the fact that people genuinely believe the Houston Rockets should have or could have beat Golden State, I think, is a testament to not only James Harden but Mike D'Antoni and that overall Houston Rockets team. Because everyone seems to believe that the 2017 Cavs had absolutely no chance. But in 2018, the Warriors should have lost to Houston. I think that's a testament to how well coached that team was, how well built that team was, and how good James Harden himself was, in my opinion.
Just think about James Harden in 2018 in that playoff series. Overall, he had a bunch of stinkers like he always does. But in 2019, for them to lose the way that they did, with Steph Curry having 0 points in the first half, in an elimination game, and having 33 in the second half, and them coming back and beating Houston, that's unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Chill. Houston was never going to win that. And we could do the Doctor Strange and put it in a 100 different multiverses, 1,000 different multiverses. It's no scenario that I ever see Houston beating any of those Golden State teams with Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green.
If they don't miss 27 straight threes, I think they win.
That was such an anomaly, that shooting thing. So
right, sure it is. And buddy, just so you know, KD is just a bucket getter.
Warriors could have shot better that game too. Like,
and just so you know, buddy,
there's a difference between shooting better and
he a better bucket getter than Carmelo Anthony, and he does do more than Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony is primarily a bucket getter, so that's not the same thing. And you never heard me say that KD was just a bucket getter. KD does do more stuff, so that's not true.
I think everyone has James Harden over Carmelo Anthony too, all time for the most part.
I'd like to know, Marquevian, can you tell me what the definition of agenda is? Tell me what the definition of agenda is and whatever agenda it is that I'm pushing.
I don't know. But yeah, James Harden, better player than Carmelo Anthony.
But I'm looking at the numbers. I see what you're saying. Like, he'd have the season where he averages 36, but it drops to 31 in the playoffs, and the Fisher takes a dip. But still, that 31-6.
I mean, to go from 36 to 31 in the playoffs, exactly. I mean, holy shit. I mean, what we talking about here?
Yeah,
James Harden's just liable to have a game where he goes 1 for 12 from 3. That's the issue.
But the problem with that, Mars, is that it happens
at the worst time.
Right, it's at the most unopportune time. Like, we're in an elimination game or the series is tied, and he'll just go right to pieces.
Yeah, he'll have like a 12-point game. I think the issue, like, when it comes to percentages in the playoffs, especially, series are so small, like 4 to 7 games, that one terrible game will skew a player's percentages drastically and kind of skew how well they played overall. I think a key, like, you can look at the 2018 finals, for example. I think Steph shot 40% from the field in that series. And the sole reason why is because game 3, he was 3 for 17. He played well in every other game of that series. But it looks like, Steph didn't have a great series because of one game skewing the outcome because it's 25% of your overall field goal percentage. So I think when it comes to James Harden, his efficiency looks a lot worse than it maybe truly is because he has 1 or 2 terrible games. And then overall, he plays pretty similar to himself, but that will just drag down his percentages from 44% from the field to 41%. And then it looks like he's playing a lot worse. And I'm not saying James Harden is an elite playoff performer. I don't think he is. He drops more than damn near anyone I've ever seen. I'm just saying him dropping is still higher than guys like Carmelo Anthony in the playoffs, in my opinion.
All right, y'all. Aramis Jones sent a response to his last super chat. He said, got to consider he, as in CJ, was playing the second half of the season with a torn labrum/hand injury. But I agree for the most part. Gobert, though, is a nod for me, Mars. LOL. I don't think he's declined. He's playing a different role.
I think Gobert is in the same boat as Nicholas Claxton.
I agree. So you think Nick's better than Gobert?
Yo, you said Kobe does nothing better than LeBron but shoot free throws. I did say that. Kobe was never the best player in the league. Those is not facts. Wait a minute. First of all, I never said Kobe Bryant was never undisputably the best player. That's what I said. So let's be clear on that. I never said he was. I didn't say he. I did say he was the best player in the game. I just never said he was never the undisputed best player. That's what I said. And all of that other stuff you're talking about, I don't know what you're talking about right there. I don't. That other stuff you're talking about. That's not an agenda.
I'll probably still take Rudy over Nicholas Claxton to answer your question, but I think they're in the same tier. Both top 10 centers.
All right, y'all. Well,
because I don't think he's undisputed the heavyweight champion in the game.
What's up, Joe?
I hate Kobe because I don't think he was undisputably the best player in the game. I hate him. No, I just didn't think he was undisputably the best player. I do think that he was the best player, but I think that there was an argument for other people. Just like when Steph Curry won the unanimous league MVP in 2016. Is there a legit argument for Kawhi Leonard, who was 21-7 and was a first-team All-League defender to be the league MVP? Was there a legit argument for James that year? Or was it just undisputed that Steph Curry was the league MVP? No.
I think it was undisputed. I think if you voted for Kawhi,
I do not believe
if you voted for Kawhi Leonard, I think you just hate Steph Curry. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. If Steph Curry does all of that and you vote for Kawhi Leonard for MVP, I think you hate Steph. And I would.
Yeah, buddy, I did say that. I said statistically, I said that. So I did say that. Yes, sir, I did. Go ahead, Ron. I'm sorry.
San Antonio Spurs, fellas. It's time to go ahead and look into next season. I want some thoughts, predictions, and let me know what you like about this team and what you don't like about this team. We're going to start first off with
over the Kobe Bryant agenda. These emotional Kobe Bryant fans, man. I mean, they talk about me, which is crazy, right? I just want to address this really quickly, Mars. It's interesting how, like this dude Buddy, for example. Buddy says to me, like we never. He talks about me all the time. We never actually talk basketball. All he talks about is you said this, you said that. He actually never talks about basketball because I don't think he knows it like I do. But that's another topic for another day. So let's talk really quickly about what he said. He calls me emotional. Meanwhile, he said that Kobe Bryant was the best player in the league in 2006, but didn't win the league MVP because it was political. That's an emotional response. The reason why that's an emotional response, because that's your guy. You can't give any legitimate facts on why he wasn't the league MVP, except the fact that it was political. Number two, Mars, can you tell me any time where we've had a player in the NBA who didn't make the playoffs, lost in the first round, and we thought he was the best player undisputably on the planet?
No,
I don't think that's ever happened. And the reason why I don't think that's ever happened, because it's never happened, Mars. That's why it's never happened. And lastly, for me to be pushing agendas, James is my guy. But I'm not gonna talk about James and constantly just be like Jalen does. Jalen is nuts with James. Jalen says
crazy.
Jalen's crazy.
I'm not going that
it's
far.
Crazy.
No, I'm not doing that. There are things that I recognize about James that are fantastic. But I can also recognize James's flaws. Jalen don't think this dude do nothing wrong.
I think he has flaws.
I'm good with that. No, I'm not doing that right there. I can recognize when James isn't good at this or isn't good at that, or when he did this bad. I can recognize that. On the other hand, you guys do the same thing when it comes to the other guys. Like this guy Buddy, for example. Everything that he talks about me, that's actually him. He's emotional about Kobe Bryant. He's the one who is glazing Kobe Bryant. That's him because he's a Kobe guy. But me, on the other hand, I'm pushing agendas. He's actually the one pushing agendas when it comes to winning the league MVP. Meanwhile, I'm pushing agendas. So everything that he says about me, it actually is him. And he's putting it on me. So I'm done with that, my man. I think we good.
I think you guys should all just let everybody glaze who they want to glaze. Let everybody happily glaze, and then just get on with it. Like we all got somebody that we glaze, right, Mars?
Right.
Tiki got somebody he glazes. Damo be glazing. Like let's let everybody glaze who they want to glaze if they're glazable, and then let's move on.
Glazable is still a crazy term.
W glaze.
How you feel about glazable, Damo? How you feel about that term?
Glazable is wild, and the fact that it's normalized, it is a normalized.
Like it's okay to say that.
Man,
I pulled up. I want to say it was probably Open Gym one time. They was just this is glazable. That's glazable. I'm like, yo, we really saying glazable right now. This is wild. This is a wild time.
Halle Berry, glazable. Jennifer Aniston, glazable.
Oh nah. I
Well,
won't say
Halle Berry is glazable, even though.
Oh, so now glazable can apply. Now glazable.
To Mars' logic, and I'm trying a hot take. Sally Richardson was better looking than Halle Berry.
I don't even
I
know.
would go to my grave on
Google
that.
Sally Richardson right now.
Sally Richardson was fucking beautiful. Holy shit. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, chill. I'm just flipping a coin. It don't matter.
I was gonna say, okay, she can get love. I see you, chill. Okay.
But all right, y'all. Let's go ahead and talk about the San Antonio Spurs. Let's do it. Let's do it. So the Spurs have added Reggie Bullock. They added Campaign, and then they just released them. They got Cedi Osman. They re-signed Trey Jones. They obviously drafted Big Wemby. They lost Bates Diop, Romeo Langford, and then they also lost Gorgie Dang, which leaves them with their current roster right now. They still have Trey Jones. Well, they just re-signed him. They also have Devontae Graham. They have Devin Vassell. They have Keldon Johnson. Obviously got Wemby, Zach Collins, Jeremy Sochan, Charles Bassey, Malachi. How you say his last name, Mars?
I say
Branham.
I think it's Malachi Branham. I think, but it might
Branham.
be
Yeah, he's a solid player too. But how are we feeling about this team, fellas? Do they have a shot at the play-in? Let's start here.
No,
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's gonna be a no on the.
There's a difference between no and absolutely
not even close. No.
Damo, there's a difference between no and absolutely not. Like absolutely not means don't ask me again.
They might be the 14 seed.
They might be. Are they going to be the first team to get back-to-back number one picks?
Didn't Cleveland get back-to-back number one picks?
13-14, yep.
Yeah.
Was it 13-14? They did go
back. Orlando got back-to-back number one.
Anthony Bennett, Andrew Wiggins, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anthony and Orlando got back-to-back number one picks too. But anyway, so the logic here is San Antonio is 100% the worst team in the Western Conference, maybe the worst team in the league.
It's between them, Portland.
Portland? You think Portland's in that category?
Portland's are going to
be Portland's
I think Portland's worse. I think Portland's worse. I think Portland's worse than San Antonio.
Portland's worse than San Antonio. Wait. All right, so hold on. Wait.
This is Spurs episode.
Got Damian Lillard. We got Damian Lillard.
We're assuming Dame isn't going to be there.
All right. If that's the case,
and the Hornets in the East, guys. So relax.
I think are the Wizards not worse than the Hornets?
Yeah, I think the Wizards are the worst team.
Will be worse than the Hornets.
Yeah, they'll be the worst team in the East.
In the West, it's going to be between Portland and San Antonio, and maybe the Utah Jazz come back to earth in the trash again. But it's going to be one of those.
Mars, I am at the train station, and I'm tackling you because you're reaching for your wallet to get a ticket to get on that Utah train. I'm at the train station, and I'm tackling you, Mars. Do not get on that Utah train. Don't.
They were doing a good job of trying to trick.
Do not, Mars.
They were doing a good job. But yeah, the Spurs are not competing for anything.
The Spurs were a really tough watch. So the thing that they didn't do that I felt like they should have done was improve their team through the draft. Because again, ain't nobody coming to San Antonio, right? San Antonio is not a hotbed for free agents. They basically have to build their unit through the draft. That's how they did it in the past. With drafting Tony Parker, with drafting David Robinson, with drafting Manu Ginobili, with drafting Tim Duncan, with drafting guys. Of the last 5 years, this San Antonio team has not drafted very well. They got the Euro in 19, and they ended up passing on Thibault. They ended up passing on Brandon Clark. They ended up passing on Nick Claxton. Now, these are big. Now, Nick Claxton, I feel like is a big that could really help and I think he'd be really good in Greg Popovich's system. So they passed on him. Thibault is one of those guys, kind of like in a Bruce Bowen category, except he doesn't really shoot the basketball like that. They passed on him. Same thing in 2020 with the kid Vasul, I think that's his name, Devin Vasil, who's actually good. Meanwhile, they passed on Halliburton, right? They passed on Tyrese Maxey, and they passed Jaden McDaniels, who Jaden McDaniels is perfect for what they're doing in San Antonio. He's definitely one of Greg Popovich's guys, considering the perimeter defender that he is, and the fact that he could, in the future, I feel like he can make an open shot on a consistent basis. And in 21, they got Primo from Alabama. Primo was a guy that. Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, this is what they're doing, Miles. I think that they're doing what Portland was doing with Anthony Simons. They got a kid and they tried to tuck him away and basically develop him and recognize that, we're developing these kids but they started them early and they recognized that, this isn't what it is. Then he got hurt last year and he didn't play the whole season. So they ended up
He didn't get hurt. He got in trouble because he was flashing people in the locker room.
Oh, that's right. That's
what he was doing.
He was on that nonsense because he was a dumb kid. They ended up passing on Sagoon too, by the way, Mars, San Antonio. They ended up passing on Sagoon and they passed on my guy. They passed on my guy Herb Jones. And with that being said, and then last year's draft, which let's see, who did they draft?
They got Jeremy Sohan last year.
Sohan, and they passed on the kid from Utah. I can't get his name right.
Agbaji.
That's him. They passed on him, and they passed on Walker Kessler. So they haven't drafted very well over the last couple of years, which would explain why they're bad, because they're not getting anybody in free agency. They're not getting anybody via trade. So after they lost Leonard, the way that they've been going, this looks like a continuing trend. I don't really add that to the fact that the way that they play basketball, like the offense doesn't look bad. It's just that the personnel just doesn't fit that offense. That's why I told Mars when he tried to get me to watch San Antonio, and I did do it, that no, they are a tough watch, man. They are really difficult.
They drafted Leonard Miller this year in the second round, which I thought was a great pick, and then they traded him to Minnesota. I'm like, why would Leonard Miller to me was a first round talent. You got him in the second round and then traded him to Minnesota, which didn't make sense to me. They also got Sidi Sissoko, who I think would be a good pick for them. Not like star or anything, but a good role player, seems to be able to pass the ball well, which fits well with San Antonio. Good like utility guy. I think that's cool. I like Jeremy Sohan. I would have preferred Walker Kessler, but I like Jeremy Sohan. Devin Vassell, I think, is a very good pick. I think he was their best player last year, so credit where credit's due. The best of a bad bunch, I guess, but I think he was their best player. Keldon Johnson's a good player. I think they've done well in like the second rounds of drafts. Like I think Trey Jones was a good pick. I think he's a very good steady point guard. If he could shoot the three, he'd probably be held in high regard. So I think they're doing okay with the second round picks. It just seems they haven't been bad enough to get top 5 picks. So they're getting like 9 to 14. And then it seems like they're just ever so slightly missing. Like they'll get like the second best option. Because Jeremy Sohan's a good pick, but I think everyone would agree Walker Kessler was better. But so they got a very good player, but they could have got better. I think that's what they've been struggling with. But I think overall, I think Wemby is probably, when you get Wemby, I think that does change the fortunes of your franchise. Because instead of leaning on guys like Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson to bring you to the promised land, you now have Wemby who can hold that pressure. And now you have Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson sort of complementing him, which I think overall just helps the team.
Wemby would be the third league scorer on the team. I think Vassell and Keldon Johnson are going to average more points than Wemby this year.
Okay,
Keldon Johnson for sure. And Vassell's
I don't know if that's crazy either, Mars.
Yeah. I think Keldon Johnson for sure is going to be number 1. And then Vassell's a bit of a shot chucker. And I think he have Vassell's shot. Keldon's going to be 100% going to be the lead scorer on this team. That's without a doubt. I think Vassell
Mars, you think Wemby comes in and averages 22?
No, he called Devin Vassell a shot chucker. That's just cap.
Look at his percentage. Look at this. He's not really an efficient scorer. Keldon's definitely more efficient scorer than.
No, he's not. No, Devin Vassell shoots more threes. That's why his field goal percentage is lower. Let's use our brains.
Let me see true shooting.
Their true shooting is like the same. It's like it might be the exact same.
Okay, no, I understand. No, Vassell more of a 3-point shooter, a good 3-point shooter for sure. But I still think Keldon.
And to your point, Mars, they literally just miss on picks. Like for example, with drafting Vassell, right? Like Tyrese Halliburton was the next pick right after him.
Like Devin Vassell's good, but you could have had Tyrese.
Yeah, I would have gone with him.
But I think Keldon and Vassell both have
in that context. when you put it in that context and you looking back hindsight, you can always say that. Like you could say that about every team in the NBA.
No,
But
Tyrese
based on
was
what
obvious.
they've done,
Tyrese was obvious. Sorry,
you said what?
Tyrese was an obvious pick. They should have took Tyrese Halliburton.
No, for sure. But I'm saying like based on like who they've got the last 4 years, I'm not mad at the Spurs. Like I'm not mad at drafting Keldon Johnson 4 years ago. Like yes, you could have. It probably is people you could have got over him, but I'm not mad at him. You get a guy 4 years later, he's a 22-point scorer. I'm not mad at that. Devin Vassell, this is what his second year or his third year?
Third year, I think.
So they got Devin Vassell 3 years ago. For based on his progression, I'm not mad at Devin Vassell. You get last year you get 2 years ago you got Josh Primo.
That was
obviously
bad.
that situation hasn't worked out, but at the same time, Josh Primo was the youngest person that they drafted, and so if everything would have panned out, which it's not going to because it's over, I think that actually wouldn't have been that bad of a pick. Josh Primo was he showed flashes of being a good player, and then last year you get Jeremy Sohan. I'm not mad at right now having a young core of Sohan, Vassell, and Keldon. I think they actually did. Like if I was to give them a letter grade, I would say that's a B+, a strong B+ too. And then now you get Wemby on top of that. The Spurs with their young collection of talent, those 4 guys, and then you add in Trey Jones too. And then you got some other young pieces. You could say, I don't really want to say Zach Collins, but you could say Sandro. You could say they let go of, they got Blake Wesley, some of those young guys. Like you could throw them in there. I'm not mad at what the Spurs have right now. I think they've actually done a good job.
I'd like to see Pop do I mean, he's got a lot of young guys, so it's gonna be difficult to make that transition. But I mean, he had young guys with Tim Duncan. He had young guys with Tony Parker and Ginobili. These guys were young guys, and I mean, they made the transition. You do need vets. That's why drafting the right guys is really important. And I feel like with what Pop is doing, has the game passed him by? And what I mean when I say the game passed him by, has the game gotten to a place where what he does is just no longer viable? Because I think about him like I think about Pat Riley. I think about him like I think about Phil Jackson. Like what I was doing back then worked. Is that still going to work today? Like the triangle became outdated. It's not that it wasn't effective when it was effective. It was one of the most revolutionary offenses that the NBA had ever seen. But it then got outdated. Well, is Coach Pop's coaching style, is it outdated? Is it something that was good when it was good, but now younger players, I mean, that it doesn't really adapt to younger players today. I'm wondering about that.
How much does Pop need to win? How much does Pop need to win without Tim Duncan?
No,
I would say so. Will there be a conversation in a few years?
We're not questioning Greg Popovich.
Okay, I'm just saying.
We're not doing that.
I wonder if there'll be a conversation. 10 years after he retires. Oh, he just won because he had Tim Duncan. I just wonder if that will be a conversation if he doesn't.
From casuals,
that'd be another course.
Yeah, probably definitely from them, Mars. 100%.
There'll be a conversation.
But anyone who knows is not questioning Tim Duncan, not Greg Popovich's legacy. But Joe, are you saying has Pop become outdated in terms of his approach with players, like his authoritarian is that the word?
That's what I'm thinking, Mars. Because
his coaching style in terms of schemes and stuff. Which
I don't think his coaching style is the problem, because I watch his offense and his offense is really good, and the personnel that he has, it's not translated with this with that offense. So I'm thinking to myself, is he outdated? That's what I'm thinking to myself. Because again, we're talking about a guy, what is Pop, 73? Something like that? Yeah, Pop, I had to remind Mars, yes, I am not older than Greg Popovich, just so you know. He is much older than me. Yes, he is. So, I mean, we're talking about a guy who's been in the league for a long time. This doesn't mean that Pop can't coach, but the game, a lot of times, passes people by. It passed Phil Jackson by. It passed Pat Riley by. So, is the game I'm just wondering if it's passing him by.
I think from what I've heard. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, are you saying this because he doesn't have vets on his team? Because that's where you started at.
I do think the vets matter. I do think that. I do think the vets matter, because if you look at his crew, okay, Wemby, kid, Jeremy, kid, Devin, kid. So he got a bunch of kids on his crew. Who are the pros on the team? Where are the AC
Reggie
Greens?
Reggie Bullock, what you got? Doug McDermott are the two.
Dougie McBuckets. I mean,
if Doug McDermott is your veteran, you got a problem. I'm with
right.
you.
That's what I mean. So
wait, What's wrong with talking about
Let's say,
as a
I
vet?
mean, if he's your vet, I mean, you've seen a guy who's maybe a little more accomplished. I think it was probably done more.
Jared Dudley's been the
I'm
vet.
not saying Jared Dudley was a vet,
I
and he literally did nothing.
I mean, I was never gonna call him kind of a good vet. I just think McDermott, he's been kind of a mediocre role player at best throughout his career.
I don't think you have to be a great player. Now, hold on, Jalen. I don't think you got to be a great player. You don't have to be a great player to be a vet. I mean, Sam Mitchell was both Chauncey Billups and KG's vet, and Sam Mitchell wasn't a very good player. I mean, he was a solid role player. You can be a solid role player and be a good vet. I'm just thinking, who are the vets in San Antonio? I mean, there's a reason why they're at the bottom of the league. Why isn't this translating in terms of Pop? Because Pop schemes, I don't think Pop schemes are outdated. I think this stuff still works. I think it's the personnel. I think the personnel, he's just not getting through to these guys.
I mean, in that case, I feel like I'd have to be in the locker room to really kind of understand that.
From what I've heard about Popovich, I do think he's able to treat his players how they react. From what I've heard, he was able to be more harsh on Tim Duncan because Tim Duncan could take what Popovich was giving out, and then the players would sort of fall in line behind that. Well, if Tim Duncan can accept that, who are we to really go against that? But he might be more, I don't want to say coddling towards other players who might not react as kindly to that. For example, Steven Jackson, when he was on the Spurs, made it pretty clear Popovich never really shouted at him because he didn't react to that sort of like, who are you to be shouting at, like me type of thing. So he wouldn't treat him that way. I think Popovich does sort of know whose buttons he can push and like in what ways. So I think maybe Wemby might react to the more authoritarian thing, like Tim Duncan, and Pop might push him that way. But maybe a Keldon Johnson, you might need to be a bit softer on. You don't need to really be aggressive with him. You just need to teach him what he needs to know throughout whichever way. I'm not saying that's how it actually is. I'm saying that's what I've heard from watching podcasts of these players who have played for the Spurs. That's as far as my knowledge goes. I have never been in a Spurs locker room. So it's just based on what I've heard from players who have been coached by Popovich. That's all I know.
Track, just so you know, you like to hear me talk too. That's why you're here. Because if you didn't like to hear me talk, you wouldn't be here. So
talk about it. I think with Pop too, was going to say, I think with Pop, no matter how good your coaching schemes are, whatever it is, you still need basically a top 5 player in the league to win a championship, and probably need a top 10 player in the league to really contend. They just haven't had that ever since Kawhi left. Like, they haven't had a top 5, top 10 caliber player. So regardless of how good you are as a coach, whatever the case is, you still need that guy or players, right? And he just hasn't had that. So obviously with Victor, could he become that guy? Yes. Will he become that guy in, year 1? Probably not. Will he become the guy in year 2? Yeah, maybe. I think by year 3, 4 is when I kind of expect him to make that top 10 player jump, and possibly top 5 following years after that. But yeah, so I think we just have to kind of wait till he gets the players required and then see what he does from there.
Track, I don't need to speak for you, sir. You speaking for yourself because you're still here. I don't need to speak for you. You're speaking for yourself because you're still here.
He signed a 5-year contract, right? I thought he signed a 5-year extension for 5 years.
I'm gonna avoid being.
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did.
I'm gonna avoid being pessimistic, but it's no guarantee he's gonna be there at the end of those 5 years.
I hear you. Yeah. I know.
No
100%. 100%.
So, like, how long is he really gonna be coaching Wemby for? Like, realistically,
I think realistically 3 at most 5.
I was thinking 2 years, Mars. If this thing doesn't turn around in 2 years, I think he's gone. And when I say turn around, I mean where they're competitive enough that they actually are making noise in the playoffs. They don't have to necessarily win the NBA championship, but they're at the door where they're in the playoffs and they're making noise. If they're not there in 2 years, where they're actually at the doorstep of the playoffs and they making noise, then no, I don't think he sticks around.
So that's actually going to be my next question for everybody. Ticket, Dalmo, I want to start with you guys. Haven't heard you in a while. When do you project that the Spurs will make the playoffs?
Shoot, if I had to say, I'd say give it 3 years before they're really. Honestly, I'll say this. It depends. I need to see who Wemby is first. Because if Wemby steps on the court, and I'm not saying in terms of production, but if he gives off Luka, Zion, Ja, Trey in terms of, okay, they have it. This is a guy we can build around to be competitive. If he has that when he steps on the court, day 1, season 1, 2 years. Honestly, it's just about getting a productive role player, a productive vet. It's minuscule things that are going to it. If he has that, if he gets on the court and he looks like, okay, he's 2 years away from being 2 years away from being a dominant force, that type of stuff, then we're talking 3 years. We're talking 2-3 years minimum before they're really trying to be a playoff team in my eyes.
What kind of improvement? They won 22 games last year. What kind of improvement are we looking at for this San Antonio team? Are they with Wemby on the squad, with Jeremy getting better, with Keldon Johnson? Because what I'm assuming that these guys got better. I'm assuming these guys got better over the summer. So with them getting better and adding Wemby and adding what Wemby brings, how many more wins adds to that 22 wins?
I'd be surprised if they got more than 10 extra wins. They won 22. I'd be surprised if they got 32.
So 32 wins is reaching. That's a lot.
I'd be reasonably confident in 27 to 30 wins.
I'm giving them 32 wins.
I just don't think Wemby's gonna play that much. Like, I don't think he's gonna play 65. Definitely.
Now, when you think he's not gonna play that much, Mars, is that due to injury? Is that why you think he's not gonna play that much?
More so
because
management.
No, I think for that reason right there, that's why I think he's going to play. For that reason right there, I think that they're going to feature him as much as possible. I think that they're going to get him as many reps as they possibly can. And I think that this San Antonio
then I think he's going to get hurt.
I think that they're going to feature him as much as possible. I think Pop's going to get him out there as much as he possibly can. Because again, this San Antonio team, they've been bad for a while. So don't get me wrong, to bring Wemby along slowly, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But when you got a San Antonio Spurs team that was in the NBA championship as many times as they were, as competitive as they were throughout the 2010s, and to now have a potential franchise player in Wemby, there may be a part where they're going to be looking to speed up the process with him. Like, yo, this guy needs to get better, and this guy needs to get better fast. And it might be to their detriment. It might be. They might rush him, which I haven't seen Pop do anything like that.
If he stays healthy, I got 35 wins. If he plays a lot, I got 35.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Ticket, you here?
What up, Playboy?
Yeah.
What's up? When do you think the Spurs can make the playoffs?
I was listening to my boy Chilltown, and I disagree with a few things he said. And I'll address that real quick, and I'll be done. He said one thing about the Phil Jackson being outdated. I disagree, because Phil Jackson, the last time he coached, he was still in the playoffs, and he just lost to a better team that year, a team that was more hotter, and his team broke down. So I wouldn't say his style was outdated. It wasn't like he was just getting ran off the court. And it wasn't, if you want to judge him for New York when he wasn't coaching, that's different, in my opinion. So I disagree with that, what he said. And also I disagree with one other point he made about Pop, and saying that Pop doesn't need to win without Tim and Tony and them. And I disagree with that, because I think that if Phil would have never won without Mike and Scotty, people may have questioned Phil, because they would have said, hey, he only won because of Mike and Scotty. The thing with the Spurs is I just think that they'll tank again. And I think that Greg Popovich has a plan to bring a new Twin Towers in there. It's a 7-footer out of the University of Kentucky. That's projected to be the #1 overall pick. And I think Pop will tank and try to redo a Twin Tower situation. If he doesn't, he'll get the other 6'8" guard out of Kentucky that's going to be that's projected to be a top 3 or top 4 pick this year. So I think he tanks. He's already said he's only going to play Wemby a certain amount of games this year. Mm-hmm. He's already said he's going to load manage him this year. That lets me know right there he's not trying to, push right now to win. And I think that his rebuild is going to be kind of slowed down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I feel like when you look at Pop in that situation, they're not rushing him to win because he has cachet. And I think that he slowed himself down from winning by trading pieces that could have continued to help build the team, because he wanted to be in a position to go get Wemby. So when you traded old boy to the Hawks and you had great pieces like that, Pop already could have built up this team if he wanted to, but he moved certain pieces in order to go get Wemby. So now I think it's just a rebuild. I think he tries to redo a new version of Tim Duncan, David Robinson. with this next 7-footer that's coming out of Kentucky, supposed to be number 1 overall in the draft. So I think he tanks. I don't think they win many games at all. I think this year he's just trying to make sure he gets Wemby acclimated to the league, and then I think after next season when he gets that other high pick, now I think you see them off and running. If he really wanted to win, they would have probably went and spent money to go get Austin Reeves or somebody like that, but they declined. They sat back and chilled. So I don't see him in a rush, and I don't think he'll quit in 2 years. I think he's a dude of his word and of his commitment. If he says he's going to do it 5 years, Pop is going to do it 5 years. He's a military man, so when he gives his word, he's going to be there. He probably gave Wemby his word that he's going to tutor him through, and he did the same thing for LaMarcus Aldridge when Aldridge signed the deal. So I think he'll be the same way.
Which is fair. Now, take it really quickly. I mean, Red Auerbach never won without Bill Russell, and he's considered one of the best coaches in NBA history. That's first of all. And number two, the reason why I said about Phil Jackson's and triangle being outdated, considering when he got to the Knicks, even though he wasn't coaching, considering when he got to the Knicks, they implemented the triangle. Who couldn't pick the triangle up? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I mean, but I think they also has something to do with you coaching. I think you got to be on the court too, Chilltown. As far as it's easy to tell somebody else to go run your stuff when you're not down there, and then they mess it up, and everybody says it looks bad. If you're down there,
keep
right,
going, keep
if you're down there and it don't look right, then that's something different. I think that's what the situation that was. You don't have Phil, you don't have Tex Winter down there.
Right.
You can't really judge it. You passing it on to somebody else who doesn't really know it too well. And John Stockton, that was his coach. You had D Fish. We know what happened with that, but with
Hornacek, you're talking about. You're talking about Hornacek, right? I'm with you. Keep going.
Yeah, that's all, man. I just think that, I think they're gonna slow-mo it. So
the point that I was making with Phil Jackson being outdated. So in addition to the triangle, Carmelo Anthony had a difficult time picking it up, and Carmelo Anthony being one of the better players in the league, him not being able to pick it up. If you rewind back to in the 2004 season when they was in the NBA championship, Gary Payton had a difficult time picking up the triangle offense. Even though everybody else was doing it, Gary Payton had a difficult time. They still was winning with it, right? They still were winning with it. But then when Carmelo Anthony had a difficult time with it, plus how Phil Jackson was viewed in the media, how he was talking about James, how he was talking about quote unquote posses. It was like he was the old guy now. So a lot of that stuff started to filter in terms of Phil Jackson's persona and him being people moving on from him. The triangle offense, I don't think it was that complex, but because a guy like Carmelo Anthony had a difficult time picking it up, and he was one of the best players in the league, it was like they were moving away from it simply because of that. Like, this is the new age of basketball. Guys like Carmelo Anthony, guys like Kevin Durant, guys like James, and because they can't pick up the triangle offense, this shouldn't be something that we should be running anymore.
Well, you said it's not that complex. I think it is because I had to run the triangle when I was in LA, and so they had the D League team actually running that, and it's not nothing easy. Most of the guys couldn't get it. It takes you a while to get it. Even guys like Kobe and Shaq, it took them years to get that, even though they were still winning chips. It was.
I ain't saying it ain't complex, Ticket. I just don't think it's that complex. But keep going.
Well, no, well. If you're looking at the player, some players' IQ is higher than others. And I'm not taking a shot at Melo. Melo is a certain type of player. He wanted to play a certain type of way. He didn't want to play that patient type of game that Phil Jackson wanted him to play. And listen, honestly, it's not about styles and this stuff. You can play. You can impose your will on the game if you're great. If you're truly great, you can impose your will on the game. I saw LeBron James in the NBA Finals impose his will on other teams and make them play a certain style, make them play a slower game because he controlled the game. So I don't think it's about a style. I just think it's about the personnel that you have in that style. And so, that's just how I feel.
YAMS, just so you know, D League means professional, and Ticket played in the D League, and so in the G League.
Yo, but so
it was called the D League back then. It's called the G League today, but he was in the D League back then.
I still call it the D League. It's still a D League.
To me, it's still a D League too, to be honest with you, Damo. Yes.
The G League was the NBA Development League, right? That's what.
Yeah, it was CBA. That's what it was.
And now it's the G League because I think it's sponsored by Games.
Gatorade, yeah, so they switched the name.
Yep.
Jalen, can you tell me when do you expect the San Antonio Spurs to make the playoffs next?
It's what the G League is today.
Next, I would say I probably year 3 of Wemby, and probably maybe add. I think this year they'll be really bad where they still get a top 5 draft pick. So whoever that may be, you add that player, and then after that, I think they could be kind of a fringe, but a team that's going to be fighting for a bubble spot. And after that, I think they'll be a comfortable, 6, 7, kind of 8 seed after that. So year 3 by Wemby, where they're able to draft another top 5 pick, and then from that maybe attract 1 or 2 free agents. Still have faith in Pop to build a team. The improvement of guys like Wemby, Keldon, Vassell. I don't know if those 2 guys will be there necessarily in 5 years. I could see them, possibly making a trade to add a piece that they may need. But definitely within year 3, I expect to make the playoffs. Now, contending, that'd be a different story. Because even by year 5, I mean, will it be a championship contender? That's going to come down to how good Victor really is and how good that secondary piece is you're going to put beside Victor. So if we all think Victor's going to be a top 10, top 5 player by year 5, who's that second guy that's going to have to be there for them to legitimately contend for a title?
Got you. What about you, Mars?
The way the West is looking, 3 years, so the 26 season, probably when I expect them to be like a play-in team.
24, 25, 25,
Because
26.
assuming the Warriors decline, assuming LeBron leaves the Lakers, that's 2 teams that will drop out. Then you got the Clippers.
Yeah.
The Clippers will be done.
Could be shaky in
You
Phoenix.
think Dallas keeps both Luka and Irv? I don't think that thing stays together. I think
Luka will still be there. I think Luka will still be there, and I think Luka can get Dallas to the postseason. Mm-hmm. I think Devin Booker can get Phoenix to the postseason. I assume they'll probably end up trading Ayton for something of value. Then you obviously got the OKC ascension and the Houston ascension. So that's 2 extra teams in there. Yeah, I think in 3 seasons, there'll probably be a fringe, like a play-in team that might be a 6 seed. They might sneak in at 6, but probably a play-in team in 3 years. I don't think this year, I think they'll be terrible. Probably get a high pick. Ideally, if they got number 1, they take Matas Buzelis, who I think is a great player for them to get number 1. Fits the Spurs perfectly, in my opinion. And then next year, they'll probably have like a top 10-ish pick. I don't know. They can't get Cooper Flag, but ideally they get back-to-back number 1s, get Cooper Flag. Then they would be a playoff team.
It's rigged, Mars. That's what you're gonna hear. It's rigged.
It was rigged this year. I still believe it was rigged this year. I still believe it was rigged this year. But 3 years, I think they'll be in the playoffs, and then after that, I think they'll just gradually ascend. I do think they need to hit on another draft pick to really be championship contenders, though, because like Joe said, I don't think they can acquire free agents like that.
You don't think somebody's gonna want to come play with Wemby? No.
Who?
I think with the uncertainty of
no one of high enough stature to make them championship contenders. You might be able to pull like a secondary tier star, like.
I feel like Bruce Brown, he has to be super good. I feel like he has to be. Well, I don't think Bruce Brown is moving that needle that much.
Yeah, Bruce Brown wouldn't move the needle,
but he has to be super good. To answer your question, Ron, like I said, he has to come out and show he has it, like Luka, like Ja did, like Zion did, like show like, okay, this guy's gonna be a guy. He just needs help to win. But if he doesn't show that, I mean, he's not gonna command no real talent down to San Antonio.
If they get a Donovan Mitchell type of player.
They're not putting.
There's no way.
There's
no reason for him to go down there. He's in a much better situation.
I don't think him, but a type of player like him or caliber.
The type of players I think they can get are the Terry Rozier type players.
Yeah, no, that's tough. I'm saying,
and that's not moving the needle.
And they already got Devontae Graham. So
wait, Zach LaVine? Would Zach LaVine make a move to San Antonio?
No.
Throwing out the name.
So of this list of players over the next 3 years, Davis, Markkanen, Ja, Drew, KD, Jalen Brunson, Leonard, Pascal, Anthony Edwards, Jaren Jackson Jr., Book, Bam, James Harden, Mikal Bridges, DeMar DeRozan, KP, Paul George, Halliburton, Zach LaVine, Brooke Lopez, Trae Young. Of those guys, who do you think that the San Antonio Spurs can land? Because these are the guys that didn't make the All-Pro team.
They might
And
be
are
able to
considered
get a 37-year-old Brook Lopez for the right price.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how old
that's
will
it.
DeMar be if he wants to go back though? Too, I don't know if he will, but he'll be older.
DeMar right now, I think, is 34.
34, so he'll be like 36, 37 couple years.
Which means he'd probably be
Yeah,
over
he's
at that
over
point.
it. Exactly.
The,
Yeah.
those are the old stars. If the Spurs give them one big, pretty solid payday, they might be able to get them. But any
But if they need a vet, you go for one of those guys.
Any star in their reasonable prime, I don't think they're pulling anyone who's like of top 40 caliber to San Antonio.
Which means they got to draft well, Mars. That's the problem. Over the last 5 years, they have not drafted like these guys that they've drafted. They're good, but they've missed on a couple of guys, like you talked about with Halliburton. I think they missed on Herb Jones, right? This guy, I think they missed on Sagoon. So a place like San Antonio, where you're not going to bag big-time free agents, you got to build it through the draft and through trades, and they haven't done that. Since they haven't done that over the last 5 years with getting Wemby has to actually pan out for other trades to actually happen. That's the only way that this is going to work, because they haven't drafted well, with the exception of what I think Wemby is going to be. They haven't drafted great.
Yeah, they need Wemby to be the superstar people expect, so that either they can recruit some level of free agent who wants to play with Wemby, which I think is still unlikely. The more reasonable assumption is Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson get flipped for a star player. That's the more reasonable assumption. I think that's probably what the Spurs are going to end up doing. A star is going to end up asking out, and the Spurs are going to offer Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, a couple picks. If they give up all three, they're cooked. But they're going to offer up two of those three big young players picks, and then whichever makes the money work to get another star for Wemby. That's probably what they're going to end up doing.
I saw possible the Pascal Siakam 97 till infinity. He's mentioned Pascal for Vassell, SoCan, and maybe some picks.
Pascal has 1 year left on his contract.
I was going to say, yeah, that seems like a lot for him, but I think Pascal Siakam could be a player that the Spurs wouldn't mind having.
If Chicago were getting off of Zach LaVine, Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson and picks for Zach LaVine, if Chicago wanted to rebuild, would make sense.
Yep.
But that's the type of trade they'd have to do.
Which, by the way, and since you brought up Pascal, I saw this morning, Jalen, which I don't know who this guy is. So Atlanta, the trade is being held up for Pascal to Atlanta because Atlanta is who is this kid, Mars, that's holding up the trade?
Who?
Kobe Buffkin's a good player.
Who is this kid? Because he's the one holding up the trade for Siakam to Atlanta.
Kobe Buffkin is a guard out of Michigan, if I remember correctly. Crafty scorer, gets to the rim finishes very well around the rim. I'm not gonna say Kyrie-esque, but a lot of good touch around the rim. Great in isolation, great in the pick and roll. Probably want him to learn off Trae Young. That's probably why they're so high on him. I think as a small guard who's very crafty and can play out the pick and roll, they probably want to have him under Trae Young's wing.
Is he good enough to hold up? Is he good enough that he should be holding up this trade?
Yeah, I mean, he's a rookie. We don't really know what he's
I think if Pascal doesn't have 1 year left on his contract and could just leave after a season, like if he had a long-term contract, I think Atlanta would be more willing to do it. But I don't think they want to give up Kobe Buffkin, DeAndre Hunter, and AJ Griffin for a player who could just leave after one season. I think that's probably what's holding up the trade. Because why would I give up three young pieces for a rental?
I guess Siakam doesn't want to sign like an extension with the Hawks right away. He wants to play out.
I like Kobe Buffkin. I think he's going to be very good. I prefer Keontae George out of Utah, but I like Kobe Buffkin.
Fellas, though, back to Utah. First, I want to shout out Mordecai with the super chat. Said thanks for the great content. Appreciate you. But now I want to. We've talked about the Spurs as a team. Now it's time to really just address the elephant or the unicorn or the alien or whatever you want to call him in the room, Victor Wembanyama. I want to talk heavily about him for these last few minutes. Where do you guys project? What do you think his rookie season will be like, and what do you think his year 15 will be like? You tell me what do you think?
15
he looks like this year, and what do you think he looks like 15 years from now? And it could be whatever. It could be He has his feet kicked up. Hey, somewhere in France. I don't know. You tell me what he looks like this year and what he looks like 15 years from now. Damo, I'm gonna start with you.
Year one, I think he looks relatively good. I think he looks pretty good. I'm hesitant to say he's gonna have that year one it factor to just change the franchise immediately. I'm hesitant to say it. I feel like he can, but I'm hesitant to say it just because I don't know how he's going to be used exactly. Year 15, I mean, being super I'm gonna be super honest. Year 15, I think we're looking at Wemby. I think Wembyamba is sitting back in an offseason in a position where he's like an Anthony Davis caliber of player. I don't think that I personally don't think that Wembyamba is going to fulfill the greatest of all time potential expectations that he has. I genuinely think he's going to fall short into one of the best bigs in the game currently, who you can argue about his placement all time with other bigs, but clearly isn't the best big we've ever seen. So in the realm of Anthony Davis, any given day, people will say Anthony Davis is probably the best big in the league. And any given day, you're like, yeah, I'm taking Giannis and Jokic and Embiid over him easily because of health. So he's going to be in that type of situation if I had to assume by year 15. Or he's coming down off of that, because year 15, I feel like he'll be past his prime. I don't think he's going to be.
Do you view that as a failure?
I'm not Chris Broussard, so no.
That's why
I don't view that as a failure. I think that's still a successful career. Obviously, it's what you expect. I'm a firm believer in your expectations are the ones that matter. So, if you viewed him as someone with LeBron level expectations out the gate, then I can understand you saying it's a failure. But if you genuinely just thought, he's going to be one of the best bigs, top 2 center in the league consistently type ordeal, no, it's not a failure in my eyes.
Yeah. Look, I'm gonna call him a success if he's a top 30 player all time. I think I'm not putting anybody in the top. He has to be top 10 player all time when I haven't seen a single game in the NBA. I don't care how good you look internationally, your highlights, whatever the case is. I'm not putting anyone in that expectation to be top 10 all time. So yeah, with him, rookie season, 16 and 7, 16 and 8. I don't think he'll be a double-digit rebounder. I've never been too big on his rebounding. I just don't think he's kind of that guy. I think defensively, he'll challenge for leading the league in blocks. Just with that height, I think he'll always be there defensively. So yeah, in 15 years, I think he'll be talked about a guy with definitely some knee problems. I think people that big staying healthy for 15 seasons it's not a thing. It's incredibly rare. You have to be incredibly lucky. Along with taking care of your body and things of that nature. So 15 years, I think he'll have a bit of knee problems. I think if he has 5 all NBA teams, again, that's success. If he wins 1 MVP award, that's success. I'm not going to expect to win 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 MVP, 5, 6 all NBA teams. That'll be a success in my eyes for Victor.
Okay, take it. This year, Victor Wembanyama, what does he do? And in 15 years from now, what is Victor looking like?
This year, I just think popping and want to see how good he is. That's what I think this year is all about. I don't think they're trying to win no games this year, like talking about. I'd say he's probably around 20, 21, 22, and 9 or 10 with around 2.5 blocks. Right at 20 and 10 with 2 blocks. In around 30, 33 minutes, no more than that. I think they want to see how good he is. And now if he's the deal, and if he's panning out to be something that, we really hadn't seen, then I think things will change as the season goes along as far as expectations. But I don't really, that's what I expect this year. 15 years from now, from what I see from him, the way the league is going, I think he'll win 2 or 3 MVP awards, a few Defensive Player of the Year awards. He'll have rebounding title. He should have playing for Pop. He should be able to win a few rebounding titles playing for Pop. I think Pop is going to work on some of his deficiencies, crashing the boards. I don't think he crashes the boards as well as he could. I think Pop is going to work on that. And then as far as winning success, I don't know if he wins a championship in San Antonio. I think he wins one or two in his career.
Just not in San Antonio. You don't think it's going to be in San Antonio?
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be in San Antonio. It might come to a point where, they couldn't get to that level in San Antonio. His contract, his second contract is up after that rookie deal. Then they signed an extension. After that's up, he's had his prime. Then he may move to a team where he feel like he can win a championship, something like that. If he doesn't get it done there, it just all depends on how they build it, man. All depends on how they build it. All depends on, because they're going through the draft. They're definitely going through the draft. They're not doing that free agent thing, because if they did, they would have thrown big money at certain free agents, and I didn't hear them throwing money at nobody. So yeah, man, that's what I expect, man. I do expect them to be 20-10 with around 2.5 blocks this year, though.
Okay, Mars, Victor this year and Victor 15 years from now.
19-8, probably leads the league in blocks. Probably going to be surprisingly inefficient. I don't think people are going to be surprised when they see a 7'4" guy shoot 45% from the field, but probably shoot about 30% from three. I think he'll have like an Evan Mobley defensive level impact as a rookie, which is great. I think he'll be all defensive caliber. He might make it on the fact of his popularity. If the Spurs defense looks pretty good with him on the floor, he might make all defense as a rookie. I've spoke about it before. I'm not very high on his rebounding ability. I think he's going to get like 9 or 8 based on the fact he's just big. But his actual like fundamentals when it comes to rebounding is very questionable. Hopefully Popovich puts him closer to the rim, so he might actually be more efficient. But if he plays similar to how I saw him playing in France, I do think he'll be surprisingly inefficient. I hope they don't have him initiating offense and dribbling up the floor, because he might average about 3 or 4 turnovers a game doing that.
Get off the peel.
Hopefully. So there's a lot of questions about it, but so that's what I think as a rookie. 15 years from now, I don't think he'll be in the NBA anymore. I think his career will probably be finished. I think he'll have a very successful career. He'll be a top 10 player in the league for a large portion of it, in my opinion, assuming health. Wouldn't be surprised if he won a couple of MVPs. I do expect him to equal the Defensive Player of the Year record. Maybe that's a hot take. I expect him to have 4. I expect him to be up there with Ben Wallace and Dikembe Mutombo. Probably about 10, 11 all defensive teams. 12-time All-Star, 9-time All-NBA type career. Whether or not he wins, I don't know if he's one of those players who's going to jump ship or not. I don't know. So I'll just say 1 championship, so no one can call me a hater. But yeah, Hall of Fame level career, definitely one of the all-time greats. One of the all-time great defenders is the category he'll be in. But I do not think he will be the greatest player of all time.
All right. Chill, last but not least.
I feel this. I feel very similar. I feel very similar to what Mars said. I think he's 17-8, 17-9 guy to start. And I think that I'm on record saying this. I think he's the future of basketball. I think this is what basketball is going to look like in the next 10 to 15 years, where you're going to have a bunch of guys that's 6'10 to 7'4 running around with the kind of skill set that he has. And it's just going to get better as time goes on. I don't think he's going to be in the league in 15 years. I don't think he's going to hold up that long. But the time that he does hold up, we're talking maybe 10 to 12 years. I think that he's going to be fantastic. I think that he's going to improve every year as a rebounder. I think that's going to be one of his major attributes, his ability to rebound and his ability to protect the rim. I can see his skill set as a scorer. I don't think he's going to be a 28, 29 or 28 to 32 a game guy. I think he's going to be anywhere around like 22 to 24 a game. But I think that it's going to get supplemented with his ability to protect the rim. And if they could build a unit around him where, kind of like what they did with Tim Duncan, if they could build a unit around him where he could get guys to shoot the basketball, because I think Victor's playmaking, I think his ability to distribute, I think that stuff is going to get better. And as that gets better, I think that team is going to get better. You need a lot of stuff to go your way in order to win the NBA championship. We all know that. But I think with Victor, I think that they could win it with him if they built it around him the right way, because I think all of those things that you need in order to have a championship level team, I think he has those things. I don't think health is going to be that much of an issue early, because he looks like the kind of guy that takes care of his body, and he looks like the type of guy that is not going to be satisfied with just being good. I think he looks like the type of guy that wants to be awesome. So I can see him being a 8 to 10 time all NBA performer and a big time defensive player in the game.
So am I the only person that thinks he's going to average 20 plus this year?
I think so.
20 is possible. I said 19. If he averages at 20.4, I wouldn't be surprised. Especially with the way the game's going.
17.
Seen Paulo do the 20 this year. I just think Victor got a little more dominant to him than Paulo. I'm not saying he's as skilled. I'm not saying he's as strong. I'm not saying all of that. I'm just saying 7'5" is tough to stop. And on top of that, Mars, I give him a little bit better credit shooting than you do. That being said, I got Victor at, I'm going to say about 23 and 9.
What does he look like, Bron? At Victor Wembanyama in year 7, he's at his best at this point. What does he look like?
Year 7. He's anywhere from 29 to 33. I can see everything that Joel Embiid's doing, I can see him doing.
Will Wemby be better than Giannis?
In 5 years?
No, not Giannis 5 years from now. Will Wemby at his best be better than the best version of Giannis?
When defensively, I got him better defensively. Now it's a matter of shooting. He's better already. So now it's just a matter of how well does he finish? How well does he attack? And based on the fact that I know that they're going to have him in that weight room, the workouts he's going to be in, the weight he's going to put on, damn. I'm gonna say yes.
I don't know for his fluidity, they need to add like the weight. Like I don't think he needs to add weight like Giannis. I think that might hurt.
More so strength, Jalen.
Yeah,
I don't think he built like that, Jalen.
Yeah, exactly.
He's built like Ralph Sampson. Like he's not gonna be one of these huge dudes. No, but he can definitely get stronger.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. He'll get stronger. I think it'll be interesting after this season if we have a conversation for the next decade. Would you take Anthony Edwards or him, Luka or him, like Jason Tatum or him? I think he's still young enough. I think Jokic is probably a little too old now. I think he's 28, so probably not Jokic. For the next decade, how many guys in the league would you take? I think again, the Anthony Edwards will be an interesting conversation. Luka, Tatum. I'm trying to think of anybody else who's young enough.
Damn, Mars, the Heat disrespecting your squad.
It's fine. I can't wait for the Wemby. I can't wait for the Wemby Cooper flag conversations. They're going to be interesting.
Yep.
All right, y'all. Got a couple super chats I want to go ahead and run down, and then we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. Start from the top. Nick Tri-State said there's a difference between who's a better rapper lyrically or as an artist. Example, Biggie, a better lyrical rapper than Pac, but Pac a better artist.
I agree with that. I think some people are better lyrical and some people are better artists.
Taco 101 said Will Smith clears.
Will Smith is him.
Alan R said Yeet clears all of them as a lyricist.
I agree.
That's wild.
Who's
That's
Yeet?
wild.
I don't know who Yeet is.
What are we doing, Damo? What's happening right now?
That's wild.
What are we doing right now, Damo?
I don't know if Yeet's better than Lil Pump, but they're definitely in the
What?
Oh, he's one of those rappers? Yeet's one of those? Yeah, I don't listen to none of that.
Same
category.
None of that.
Did you say you don't know if he's better than Little Pump?
Lil Pump, man. Lil Pump was nice, man.
Hey, listen, I've had people, and I don't really listen to these dudes, Ron, but I've had people tell me that Lil Pump might be the worst rapper in history.
No, that's Smoke Pump.
Nigga, they're on the same level.
Yeah, I'm about to say they're on the same level.
Honestly,
like,
Smoke Purp is a better rapper than Little Pump. Actually, 100%.
All those guys, they came from
Hey,
a time
Lil Pump's a good man.
The Lil Pump
Alright,
era,
so-
you could call it, was just like when labels
Exactly, he
were
was
going
on top of the game.
No, I'm saying when labels were going to Instagram, finding people with mass followings. All right, let's just try to make you rap and see what hits. That's what that was.
Okay, Joe. So,
All right,
hey, Ron, I got to bounce, yo. Hey, Ron, I got to bounce, yo. Fellas, I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Hey,
Out.
Houston Rockets tomorrow, chill.
Yes, sir. I'll be ready.
Be ready for the glaze. I'm talking about from the Mars. I'm talking about from the crowd and the fans and everybody in Houston.
Facts,
we got a big
Mars
Houston,
Glaze. Mars gonna be
you know?
glazing Jalen Green tomorrow. We know that
buddy.
much.
Okay, buddy.
KD in 2016 playoffs for OKC, worst 3-point percentage and most turnovers from Football Breakdown. Reggie Red said, "Yo, I'm falling asleep over here. Where's Ticket?"
Ticket was here.
Yeah, Ticket was here. He was chilling today too. You know, he had some good calm takes.
Fun 6000 said, "Hottest rapper from 2000 is Luda, Nelly, Slim Shady, 50, Ye, Lil Wayne. That's the entire 2000. Once the 2010 hit, Jay-Z never would be the hottest."
I mean, that's pretty much 2000s in terms of guys who are really popping off.
Nick Tri-State said, Jay-Z didn't want no smoke with Jada. That's why he had Beanie Siegel on him. Had to get Beanie Siegel on him. Winter with the super chat said, "How do y'all feel about Kendrick saying he's better than Jay-Z?"
I think a lot of people disagree. I think Kendrick's just being, nice, politically correct, maybe, but he might think that too.
Nit Britt said, "Question for the panel: when do you think is the last year that Kareem was better than Magic on the Lakers?"
82, 81, 82.
So basically, for most of that decade, was on Magic.
Yeah, 82 onwards, I'll definitely say Magic. 80 is Kareem. 81, I'll give to Kareem. 82 is iffy. I don't know. So that's why it's somewhere in that realm.
Riddell's GOAT take said, "Y'all need to chill on Broussard. He wasn't being literal. He was saying based off the LeBron type expectations, he would be a failure."
Yeah, they're dumb expectations. That's
100%.
Greatest, and Damo's not here, unfortunately, but Greatest said, "We never seen the best player miss the playoffs, ? Have you ever seen a player drop 81, average 35, plus make all defensive team? No, it happened once. Kobe."
I think Jordan might have done it, but Kareem did miss the playoffs back-to-back years and was still the best player in the world. So there's that.
There you go. It happens.
Was even the MVP.
Last but certainly not least, Aramis Jones with one more super chat. He said, "I give the Spurs 3 and a full. I give the Spurs 3 and full, 3 years in full for a playoff berth. 2, they'll be in the play-in. A lot of this rests on the development of the Spurs' young 3 in Keldon, Devin, and Wemby. Trey Jones will be a sleeper to keep an eye on as well."
Facts. I really like Trey Jones' game.
I do too. Oh, yeah, and I want to read this super chat too from K Glizzy. He said, "Mars, as you become more American by the day, you'll realize Jordan fans are the worst in sports. LOL. And yes, I'm from Chicago. It's facts. Trust me."
Nah, man. Jordan's just glazable, man. What can I say?
But the Jordan propaganda was peak when ESPN had that college. They had who was the greatest college basketball player. It's clearly Kareem, and somehow Jordan was clearing. Jordan's not in the top 10 college basketball player of all time in terms of careers. But
The Last Dance was where a lot of Jordan glaze increased exponentially as well.
yeah, this propaganda was crazy.
Shout out to Jordan for being glazable. All right, y'all. Open Gym is next. If you're not doing anything, go over there. And if you are doing anything, go over there. All right, we'll catch y'all same time tomorrow.